and I don't think your bedtime's at that time. I think you're okay there. But
I'm in good shape.
you know, yesterday was fun. Yesterday was very, very fun.
Yesterday
to see the
was
atmosphere.
a blast.
It was a great time. First half of our show,
Rocking.
though, is
the way it should be.
Yes. Brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. We have a lot to get to today. Tigers beat Houston to end the year. We've sort of come accustomed to the Tigers in the Penny Hardaway era and not coming through in that situation. They finally do, and they just absolutely walloped them. The Grizzlies, on the other hand, had a 1-1 weekend, hammered the Magic, and then in a back-to-back in Houston, they did not complete the Memphis-Houston sweep. They lose to the Rockets by 11. As far as our guests are concerned today, 4 o'clock, we bring on David Cobb from CBS Sports, as we normally do, talk some college basketball. 4:30, Shelby Mass joins us to talk about these brackets. A lot of people now, with that win for the Tigers, have the Tigers in the last four bye area where they would stay out of Dayton. Obviously, there's still more work to be done in the AAC tournament. Can't lose an early game, but it looks like the Tigers, most places, are in. We'll talk to Shelby at 4:30. 5 o'clock, Michael Cole joins us from the CA and on the Grizzlies beat. We will discuss what the Grizzlies did over the weekend. 5:45, we get out with Taco Bell Crunch Time. AutoZone listener line, you know it. 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. But, Brett, just unreal atmosphere, an atmosphere in FedEx Forum for the Tigers that we haven't seen in some years, in a long, long time. And it was great to see it the way it was. And the game itself, really not all that fun because it wasn't close. There was no real worry about the Tigers winning the entire time. They were up by 22 at one point. I think the closest Houston ever got was 12 points there in the second half. Tigers just absolutely dominated, and it was very enjoyable from start to finish.
One of my favorite things from my youth, and he certainly brought me to Tiger basketball, was listening to the late, great Jack Eaton call the games. And Jack Eaton would have a line. It was almost his hammer nail coffin that Pete Pranica has so well, a lot of signature calls by a lot of other announcers out there. But late in a Tiger game, Jack Eaton, especially in a blowout, would proudly boast, whether it was 4 minutes to play or a minute and a half to play, the only thing in doubt is the margin of the Tigers' victory. I swear to myself yesterday at one point in the first half, the only thing in doubt is going to be the margin of the Tigers' victory today. It was a coronation. It was a celebration. It was a serenade all day. And for the last game of the season and the last game of the fourth year of the much anticipated, much discussed Penny Hardaway era, that's how it should be.
What a ride.
It took to the last game of the year for it to feel like Tiger basketball should really feel.
Well, I mean, what a ride, though. This year, the amount of drama. You bring in Amani Bates, you bring in Jalen Duren to start the year. You think that this is going to be unreal. Those are going to be your two guys. Jalen Duren has done his thing down the stretch of the season, but Amani Bates is nowhere to be found. He's not on the floor, and you're still getting it done. Behind Landers, Nolly. Tyler Harris. We were talking before the year, Brett. Is he ever going to get minutes? Besides if they're up or down by 20 with 5 minutes to go. And he has found a way to be
Team MVP.
Team MVP, more or less. Off the bench, their sixth man, 15 points in that game. He plays so well in FedEx Forum, by the way. He plays unbelievably well in FedEx
Great
Forum.
point. He really does. He shoots so much better at home than on the road.
But
and that's not unusual in college basketball for the comfortability of rims and shooting perception, depth perception.
The drought feels over, and I think it's sort of
Drought's
poetic.
Over. Tigers are going dancing.
It's sort of poetic.
Only thing in doubt is where they're seated and where the pod is.
It's sort of poetic to see how bad they've been sort of owned by Houston late seasons, the past two seasons at least, and they break through with a sweep this year. And a sweep by double
spankings.
Digits in both games. And
just blistered them.
And yesterday, Brett, you expect at some point in that second half, Houston's going to make some run. Just try to put themselves back into that game. Couldn't do it. Houston
couldn't muster it. Couldn't go to it. Would go to the riding crop if they were a jockey and the horse just not responding. They could not go to it and snuffed out. And then when you thought, well, here it comes right in front of Nance and Rafferty, they have the ball out of bounds, and the guy fires it back kind of, below the belt to DeAndre Williams. He kind of catches it in a bad spot, recovers. The Tigers steal it back, alley-oop to DeAndre Williams. Take that. You try to hit me down yonder, see what you get.
But it just was you look at that Houston team as a whole. Tigers are just a tough matchup for them. Tigers have a lot of guys that they can rotate in. Houston is very, very short.
They couldn't get their stuff.
Their bench depth wasn't there.
They couldn't run their stuff in the offensive end.
I was going to say, I don't know offensively if that Houston team's very good in the grand scheme of things. I like Kyler Edwards. I like Fabian White. But Fabian White, if you have to play him for 35 minutes a game and he doesn't have it, it becomes tough. If Kyler Edwards doesn't have it, it becomes really tough. And the Tigers just took advantage all the way through, and I was very happy to see. I mean, Penny stuck with his 6 guys. He went DeAndre Williams, Duran, Lomax, Nolly, Quinones, and Harris, and limited just about everybody else's minutes.
In a few words, and this is what I would love for people to do at the AutoZone text line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone at AutoZone and get into it with us. In a few words, encapsulate the season. Here's mine, and yours could be something different. You could agree, you can disagree. We want you to. Please bring it. Here's mine. Tigers got healthy, and they moved on from Amani Bates.
I would just say weathered the storm. Just so many distractions early in the season. So many distractions. And Amani Bates was part of that. And to get over it and to overcome what they have after that SMU debacle after the game, which Penny after the game, by the way, said sort of rallied the troops and made them a better team altogether. He said the team.
Well, it was time to rally.
He thinks the team responded to that in the correct way, that he was going to fight for them. And that's how you wanted them to respond, but you didn't know based on what had been said earlier
Sunday in Tulsa. That comeback had to happen. If, a little kid word with a lot of meaning. If the Tigers had gone on to lose that game that Sunday to Tulsa, let's say they lose it how Tulsa won yesterday with something freaky at the buzzer from half court. It felt like a breaking point because all the rumors around town, you're hearing about people disenchanted, maybe ready to move on, injuries that on an injury scale were about a 4, and they could be claiming 6 or 7 or 8, and they're ready to go. Clawing back that Sunday at Tulsa to get to 10-8, because that loss would have dropped the Tigers to 500.
And who knows what that does to your confidence?
Who knows? That Jason Munns points to that, and Jason Munns has retweeted an article he wrote at the time, very prescient, nailing it. And that's what a great beat person on any beat in any sport. They have the heartbeat. They have the yin and the yang, the highs and the lows, the fits and starts. And Jason nailed it right after that win that this could be the spark. This could be the seed, the acorn to plant a mighty oak. And he nailed it right on.
Mm-hmm. And they have done enough work finally. And again, I come back. You always expect you've sort of come to think with the Penny Hardaway era, the last 2 years leading into this year, they're not going to get over the hump at the end of the year.
There's going to be heartbreak. They're going to break our hearts.
Exactly. They're going to hurt you. They didn't this time.
Not at all. Made it look easy, really, Gabe. Really.
And what they did to Houston this year, seriously, in both matchups, just criminal as far as the pressure they were applying on the defensive end. 19 turnovers in this game, 18 in the first game. And Kelvin Sampson couldn't do anything about it. I mean, Kelvin said, he probably emphasized these things in practice, all these things in game planning meetings, all these things in film, and they still did the same things, and the Tigers exposed them.
Gabe, it was almost like when you're playing, I won't say in church league, but maybe just more pick up with your buddies, and that guy on the other team is defending maybe a little too hard. Come on, man, we're just out here having fun. Why are you trying so hard? Stop it with this junk, and let's just have some open jumpers. Houston almost was so frustrated. Just stop. Stop with y'all stuff. We can't handle it. Credit to Kelvin Sampson, though. And it wasn't coach speak. It wasn't, the coach trying to make every team in the conference sound good and every coach sound like John Wooden or Bobby Knight or Mike Krzyzewski. He was praising Penny Hardaway as a head coach, not just a superstar player back home his alma mater. He was praising him as a floor coach 2 years ago.
Well, that 2 years ago, yeah. Defensively, that's where you want to start a team, I feel like, in a lot of ways. And Penny Hardaway that's been the emphasis. Now, I think the first half of this year, there was some serious lulls.
Got loose.
There were some bad lulls there. And I don't know why. I don't know what the reason was. There's a lot of things that could be the case there. You have some young guys, don't know how to communicate, yada, yada, yada. But Penny has built this whole thing on defensive prowess, and he showed that just about every time he's played Kelvin Sampson over the years. He showed that defense.
Season sweep of Kelvin Sampson. Kelvin Sampson took a team to the Final Four last year. He's taken two different teams to the Final Four in his career. So when you're looking for those big scalps for Penny Hardaway, the season sweep of Kelvin Sampson will stand up. And now they go to Fort Worth, looking like if they win it all there, Gabe, could they work their way into a 7 seed?
Listen, I don't know. I was looking at Joe Lenardi put out his bracketology last night at ESPN. Has the Tigers in the last 4 byes. In his bracket itself, he has them as an 11 seed. But then he put out his seed lines today. He has the Tigers on a 9 seed line. Right this second has the Tigers on the 9 seed line, and I was confused by that because in his bracket he has them as an 11. But if they run through this, beat an SMU team, beat a Houston team, especially in the tournament, I don't know about 7, Brett, but I think 8-9 is pretty realistic.
I'd rather be 10 than 8 or 9.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. You don't want to play a 1 seed. Don't want to have to play a 1 seed.
And mathematically, the toughest first-round game is the 8 versus 9. I don't know what 8 versus 9 success rate is through the years, but if anything in life should be around 50-50, that should be it, shouldn't it?
That 8-9 seed, in that 8-9 seed line, you either get really good mid-major teams or you get capable but underachieving power teams.
Yeah, that
and
plucky
you can get
22-11 NC State.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Or Murray State at 26-2.
That shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be there, but be 5 or 6.
That's their seed line.
Yeah.
But the Tigers are the 3 seed. They'll play the winner of South Florida versus UCF, teams that they handled during the regular season. They killed UCF last time they played them. USF, that was just a bizarre, boring, workman-like game.
Yeah, it was.
In the grand scheme of things. But then when they get through that, they'll play the winner of SMU versus Wichita State or Tulsa.
And they want SMU.
Yes, you want SMU. You want SMU. Now, here's
and just clean up that resume a little bit.
What's the worst that could happen, in your opinion, with a first-round loss versus a UCF or a South Florida?
Nothing. Come home and maybe still fall to Dayton. I guess fall to Dayton would be the answer.
Yeah. But
I guess that would be worse to answer your question as you ask it. I'm sorry.
If you're in, you're in.
Yeah, if you're in, you're in, and you're really in if you can avoid Dayton. We will talk about it all today. And also this week, at FanDuel, you can have so much fun with all the college basketball, but also with golf this week. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel, the Players' Championship. Really the first real test of the year in golf. It's back with one of the best fields in golf, and now you can take a shot at the Island Green with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get 30-1 odds on defending champ Justin Thomas. He's two-time major winner Colin Morikawa, or Olympic gold medalist Xander Schauffele, just to make the cut at the Players. That's right. If any of these players just make the cut at TPC Sawgrass, you win $150 on a $5 bet. I love Cameron Smith this week. Love Cameron Smith in all the big tournaments this year. And I love Terrell Hatton also this week. There's no better time to get in on the action with FanDuel Sportsbook. So step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the Players' Championship. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app or promo code CASH to get 30-1 odds on Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, just to make the cut at the players. R. Cameron Smith or Terrell Hatton is I like. Sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. FanDuel Sportsbook, official betting operator of the PGA Tour. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in town. That's at 2600 Ridgeway, and they're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Great offers on all 2022 models and special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. The one and only Lexus dealership in town is at Lexus of Memphis. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
It's not even just about the Tigers beating Houston. It's more than that with the top story of the day. The fact that they got on this ride this season that has had so many ups and downs. You start at 5-0, you lose your next 4. You get to a point in the season where you're playing Tulsa on the road. You could go to 500, and you're down by 10-plus at halftime. You come back, you win that game, and then down the stretch of the season, you clean up. There's no question about it. You end 19-9, 13-5. You end up as the 3rd seed in the AAC tournament when many thought that wasn't going to be possible. You sweep Houston. Amid all of these things, the Amani Bates drama, the Rasheed Wallace drama, missing the game against Tennessee and Nashville. So many things have gone wrong, yet Penny Hardaway and this team are going to be tournament bound. And guys on this team that at times this year you didn't know what they would be. Tyler Harris being the one at the beginning of the year, you had no idea if he'd get minutes. But he's been the MVP, 15 points in that game against Houston, and he was one of the most important guys on the floor. Lester Quinones and Landers Nolly. I remember a time when Penny at the beginning of the year said, all these older guys don't know how to fit in and bring the younger guys along. And those were 2 names he brought up. Look at them. They down the stretch of the season, brought it, and they need all their credit for it. Alex Lomax, much maligned at a million different points in his career, down the stretch of the season has not turned the ball over.
Rock solid.
Assisted, has been very solid with the ball and making good decisions. And what Penny said after the game, I'm going to play the sound in the next segment. But what Penny said after the game, this feels sweet. Thanks for sticking with us. I think that's very apt.
Very apt. My top story right there. Hometown Tigers, they're in the NCAA tournament. A week from today, we'll be talking pod and opponent and all that good stuff. And if they win that game, then on to that game. And a lot of these bracketologists, including Shelby Mass, that we'll have on at 4:30 with us, they're all evil geniuses. The potential for that Tennessee matchup in the second round right there in front of us.
Shelby's got it.
How great would that be? You know, ball don't lie. And that would be fun to have that game. Tigers put another whooping on Houston yesterday. Even easier than the one in Houston. Never a contest. Up 20 at half with Jalen Duren with 2 points. Hit 2 points at halftime. All the Tigers did was go out there and show it. They dug themselves a big ditch this year, a big hole. And for fans, this is illustrative of you want to move up and get people's attention in the bracketology world and in the in and the out and the 4 on the bubble, win ball games. The Tigers went out and they won ball games, and now a potential 8 or 9 seed, maybe even a 7. How unlikely was all that 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago? You take the time after the game in New Orleans against Tulane, the likelihood of talking about a 7, 8, or 9 seed, it was out of question.
Yep, there's no question about it.
Not top story of the day.
Not top story of the day. On Saturday in Cameron Indoor, Duke loses in Coach K's final game at Cameron.
When he told his fans to shut up, let him talk.
94-81. R.J. Davis, Armando Bacot, and Brady Manick killed them. Just killed Duke. Duke had no answer defensively. Couldn't stop North Carolina from getting their game off. There was no defense played. And Paolo, I like Paolo, but at times I think he may be a bit too high usage. And other players on that team, especially in that North Carolina game, seemed to be like it was hard. It was a struggle for them to get fully involved in the roles they were supposed to play. But after the game, Brett, the shut up, the be quiet to the crowd.
No,
that's just bad form talk.
It was bad form, but you know how he is. He's a very competitive coach. He was saying you should not be praising us for this.
Old man told his crowd to shut up.
But also, Coach K, you knew what this was before the game.
You asked for this one.
Win or lose, it was your farewell tour. It was your farewell tour. I thought it was a very bizarre ending, though. But I
thought the whole day was nauseating.
Brett, I got to be
way
honest.
too much Billis.
I got to be honest. From start to finish of the game and watching Coach K after it, I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny, especially the ending, telling his crowd to be quiet and everything else.
Gabe, imagine telling people. He didn't say shut up. He said be quiet. Let me talk. So he did not say shut up. Shut up's more magical words than be quiet. Even
it was be quiet.
But he told an adoring throng to be quiet. Let me talk. And a lot of those people had slept on the ground for 3 days wanting to go to that game, and a whole bunch more had spent $5,000 to go.
They spent $100,000 to be courtside. You're telling them to be quiet?
I paid $5,000 for some old cranky old man to tell me to be quiet and let him talk.
That's tough. This isn't the first time he's told people to shut up, though. This is not the first time he's done this with his fan base.
My not top story, we woke up yesterday morning, saw those standings, Grizzlies, 2-seeded. Didn't last long, though, did it? A little upsetting in downtown Saturday and Sunday, but downtown all day Saturday, gearing up for the Grizzlies game. It was just perfect. It was fun, and they went out and put it on Orlando. And then on Sunday, we were expecting them to put it on Houston for the Memphis-Houston Quinella. And you know what happened? Very similar to what happened at Duke Saturday. Only professional wrestling is scripted. You got to play the games. And Duke lost. It wasn't scripted. And the Grizzlies lost. It wasn't scripted against Houston. Last night, Brevin Knight said a mouthful. Never take anybody. Never underestimate anybody, especially in the NBA, because all those other guys are getting paid and getting paid well. The Rockets end a 12-game losing streak. The Grizzlies start a losing streak. Got to change that, and they can.
Grizzlies in that second half, one, I thought looked tuckered out, and two, with back-to-back, and two, they thought the Rockets were going to lay down. Rockets have a bunch of guys that have some hunger about them. Young guys with hunger that have been told certain things about their career. We know about Kevin Porter Jr., about Jalen Green, right? They have guys that have been doubted. So I don't know why they had that thought process, but it looked like they thought the Rockets were going to just give up.
More experience, though.
Yep, more experience. But they did get that win against the Magic pretty easily. And it's also, I thought about this. Going from Memphis to Houston for a night game and a back-to-back, that's always going to be tough. A back-to-back would be different if you're in the same city, if you're in Memphis 2 nights in a row, but having to travel and do all that makes it a little bit more tough. But that'll do it for the top and the not top story of the day. On the other side, we continue the conversation about the Tigers and their win over Houston, what Penny Hardaway had to say after the game, and we look forward to what they might face in the AAC tournament and in the NCAA tournament after the long wait. You're listening to Sports 56 98.5.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Spring is around the corner. That means the sounds of air conditioners cranking up will be in the air soon. Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. This month only, receive $1,000 off the purchase of a new Carrier AC unit. No gimmicks, just $1,000 off for the Choate's Early Bird Carrier AC Special. If your AC is in good shape, call us to get your $60 20-point AC tune-up to get your AC cleaned and ready for the warm seasons ahead. Choates is here for all your cooling, heating, plumbing, air duct cleaning, and commercial needs. Call us today at 347-8086 to take advantage of these early bird specials. Or to schedule online, visit ChoatesHVAC.com. So turn to the experts with Choates. And remember, let our family serve your family.
Hi, my name is Takia, and a little thing that I love about the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is when I take a bite, it's the perfect blend from the bacon to the cheese. It's perfection.
Hey, I'm Katora, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A mac and cheese is it kind of melts in your mouth, so you know it's creamy, cheesy, and delicious. This gooey mac makes me cheese every time.
Order dinner delivered on the Chick-fil-A app today. Delivery fee and other restrictions apply. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the next generation of drivers, where titanium ends and the carbon age begins. Introducing the new Stealth Carbon Wood driver from TaylorMade with 60 layers of carbon twist-based technology designed for better energy transfer and faster ball speeds. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops is home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
So we already talked about Coach K and his post-game remarks with the mic in his hand. But there were very different remarks made by Penny Hardaway in the final game of this regular season at the FedEx Forum after beating Houston. And I think Michael Schroeder, who's, of course, the basketball SID there at the University of Memphis, I thought he was the one who sort of said this was going to happen if they did win. And I thought it was well done. This is what Penny said after the game.
I just want to say thank you to you guys, everybody that believed in us from day one when we went through everything that we went through. We know how hard it was in the beginning, but man, this feels sweet to be in this position. I really appreciate every last person from the top to the bottom. You guys made this happen today. I love y'all. Peace.
Yeah, and I thought it was well done because in Penny Hardaway's mind, and I know how this season has been for him, it has been a tough season. And to get to that emotional high after various emotional lows during this year, several times where he said, oh, it can't get much worse, and it got worse. Can't get much worse, it got worse. Finally, to get to where you wanted to be, it's got to be huge for Penny Hardaway and weighing well on his mind instead of all of these things that have weighed him down.
How do you break a year down? Do you call what's getting ready to come up with the conference tournament? Do you just really call that an extension of a regular season, or do you dissect that? Do you call it regular season, conference tournament, and then NC tournament?
Explain it again.
Do you count this week that's coming up, conference tournament, is just as an extension of regular season? Would you throw that into one pot and then postseason, or would you go regular season, conference tournament,
I would break
NCAA
them. I
tournament?
would break them all. They're all separate to me. They're all separate.
Okay,
to me.
good. And we didn't ask this beforehand, did we? I mean, I just threw it at you, didn't I? Okay,
they're all separate.
all right. Doing that, so 1/3 of the grades in the book for the year, right?
Yes.
What was the grade? A, B, C, D, or F? No minuses, no pluses. I don't want to get hung up into all that minus and plus
you know what,
crap.
Brett? You can't go full A, so I'm going to go B.
And you sure
Flat
can't
B.
go F. You can't go F.
I'll go flat B. I'll go flat B.
Flat B.
Because
Flat
you
B.
think about preseason expectations, you didn't quite get to those, but you did break the spell. You broke through. You're a tournament team at this point, and I think that in itself can be considered a success.
And I want texters to chime in on this.
You go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want texters to chime in, 901-360-8255. Flat letter. Don't send in a bunch of minuses and pluses, because we know what that's a big excuse. It's not F. It's not A. So I guess we're all kind of trying to decide between B and C, aren't we?
And the other part, I guess you could throw a D in there. the other part of it is to
I don't want to take them for a class if they're calling going to the NCAA tournament a D.
To be able to turn the season around based on what had transpired, that has to lift it up into sort of that B territory. Has to.
Okay, Brian, give me yours. Your flat letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F. And we know it's not A, and we know it's not F.
I'm going to say
somebody could say A. And boy, I'd
Somebody
really like
could
to sign
say
up, take a class from them.
I'm going to say right now, today, March 7th, I'll give them a C.
Okay.
No, because we're just grading through yesterday, through 19 and 9.
Yeah.
So what happens Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would not affect this portion of the grade. And then the ultimate will be the NCAA tournament. And that's not always going to the Final Four to get an A. It's according to kind of what your expectations are. I would give it a C.
Okay.
Because in the preseason, I had for 28 games, and they didn't play, 3 games, 2 games. I only had 4 losses on the year. So if I'm going into something thinking you should only lose 4 times and you lose 9 times, I don't know how it can be I don't know how I could give it a B or an A.
And Brett, this is where I come into this sort of conversation about expectation. Do you base what has happened this season off of preseason expectation, or do you have to temper and sort of adjust expectations as you see fit? Because Amani Bates is clearly not what we thought Amani Bates would be.
I think that factors into it.
Jalen Duren had to come along. He wasn't at the beginning of the season a finished product. He has been a better player. They had injuries at a point during the year. You had to temper expectations during that period once they got all those guys back, 9 of 10 to end the year. So I have had trouble with this team all year deciphering where should I draw my conclusion on based on what expectation should I draw my conclusion on? What I thought preseason or what I thought during this back part of the stretch run when they were 10-8?
I hear you, and I think that should be factored in. I don't want to give the Tigers, and I don't want to give Penny Hardaway too much credit for putting out the flaming, towering inferno that they started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the one that told us how great Bates was. He's the one that said Duren was ready on game 1.
How uncontrolled did that fire seem at the time, though? That seemed like a complete dumpster fire. It seemed like something you couldn't put out. And somehow, as a staff, as a team, they ended up putting it out. And I think there's something to be said. And yes, they started it. There was a lot of things that led to it that were on the inside of the program, behind the scenes of the program. But to be able to turn around the season the way they did to lead to an NCAA tournament berth after all these years, I think
okay.
I think
now,
B is apt.
There's 2 more legs for my grading. So y'all are saying B.
He said
no, I said C.
He said C.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Brian. So 2 C's and 1 B. Well, next weekend, win a conference tournament championship. That's easily an A, right? So we know in the scoring world that would be kind of a 4 and a 2. So that would measure out to a B if it's mine and Bryant's scoring. For you, it'd be a tough call. Might have to get into pluses and minuses then, but and then you would have the third leg, the NCAA tournament, for the total overall year grade. So we're at one checkpoint now. I want people's grades. Again, if you send in a plus or minus, we're not even going to read it. Flat letter grade.
Send them in. 901-360-8255. AutoZone listener line. Get in the zone. AutoZone. So I look at Shelby Mass bracketology, and I look at Joe Lenardi's bracketology. And the first round game for both of them that the Tigers would face, 6 versus 11, Ohio State versus Memphis. For both of them. Now, second round would be different. Joe Lenardi has Villanova as the 3 seed in that form of the bracket, and Shelby has Tennessee, which would be an unbelievably fun situation if that were to play out that way. Tigers beat Ohio State, play Tennessee if that's how it played out. But the Tigers as an 11 seed right this second, Brett, that's not an 11 seed I would want to be playing at this moment.
Oh, no.
They have all of the makings from a roster makeup standpoint. They have a really good freshman. They have a lot of vets that are starting to come along. They've won 9 of 10 to end the year. They have all the makings of one of those 11 seeds that would scare the hell out of you.
There's 2 things that scare me about the Tigers, but there is such a deficit out there at point guard in college basketball that there aren't a lot of people with formidable point guards, and there are even less formidable backcourt duos. But I would still be scared of, at the point guard position, for Memphis and all the turnovers. Even yesterday, a lot of turnovers, or too many turnovers. And this, just from laps around the track, understanding you got to be there some to get it. The lack of experience as a tournament coach that Coach Hardaway is. There's only one way you get it, and that's out there and getting you nose bloodied or bloodying some noses. And they could. I really believe they're among about 20 teams, maybe more, maybe up to 30 teams that can catch that wave and at least get to New Orleans. I'm down to about 8 or 9 that can really win it. But none of that is set in stone. We know this about the NCAA tournament. You get in a lot of those buildings that it's a little antiseptic. I mean, Buffalo on a Friday afternoon, that almost sounds like a punchline to a joke, doesn't it? Buffalo on a Friday afternoon, let me tell you about that. Or Pittsburgh, you get in there, and I think Penny Hardaway will have the rally around him effect of a lot of those buildings. The neutral fans of other teams, I think, will show up and pull for him and pull for that team, especially if they're the worst seed going up against maybe a little bigger, more prominent name. You make shots and you don't turn the ball over, you advance. It comes down to matchups and making shots. And that sounds banal, but it's real.
With the Tigers, this has been the question for us the past couple of weeks, Brett, is they have not played an out-of-conference game in a long, long time. And when they were playing out-of-conference games, even at full strength, they lost to 13 and 14 in the SEC. They didn't look all that great. I wonder how much of this is knowing the AAC and what they've done down the stretch. And I don't want to say it's all that because I think every game has been pressure-packed because they've had to win every single
Sampson
damn
twice,
game.
Yeah.
I get that. But the AAC as a whole, I wonder, getting out of that sort of role and knowing who you're going to play every week, I wonder how that factors into this conversation.
I'm with you on that, Gabe. I'm not here to be disagreeable about anything, but I'm not. But I was kind of advancing that warm blanket of the AAC up to 2 thumpings of Kelvin Sampson. So it wasn't just warm blanket. It gave you a chance to get sea legs back under you. Look, that same warm blanket, you blew a big lead with 2.5 minutes to play at East Carolina with a lot of guys out, though. Mm-hmm. Getting people well and moving on from Bates, I think, really helped this team.
Yes, and I don't want to disparage Houston to some drastic measure because I think they're a good team. You don't go 26-5 without being a good damn team, and beat some of the teams that they've beat during the year without being a good damn team. But
still out there is 5 in the net.
But Brett, this Houston team, especially with sort of what they were dealing with injuries this year, I don't know how good they are, Brett. I just don't.
Well, now, the smart aleck come back to that is injuries. Let me cry you a river about injuries.
No, I understand.
The Memphis
I
Tigers.
understand, but you understand what I'm saying. You
I
lose
do.
your two leading scorers. You're playing 5 guys a game.
But Gabe,
this is not the team from a year ago.
Yeah. No, they're not. I think this is the least best Kelvin Sampson team in this last 3 or 4 when he had Rob, was it Rob Gray? Who was the good little guard he had that Michigan beat him in the heartbreaker at the Horn in the tournament? Was it Rob Gray? Remember that good guard he had?
Oh, gosh.
And then last year's team speaks for itself. But also this. I think it's the least best Kelvin Sampson team in 3 or 4 years, but it's the best Penny Hardaway team.
Yes.
At this point, for March 7, this is the best Penny Hardaway team in his tenure.
Well, I mean, you beat Houston by 10 points. As they were 6 overall in the AP, and then they were 14th overall in the AP. So this is the best team we've seen Penny put together. It's the best makeup of a roster.
Damage on that.
It's the best makeup of a roster, but it also still is, looking back, as a Tiger fan, as someone who covers the team, as a media member, it's frustrating to think that they had to do all of this to overcome the nasty start.
They started a hell of a fire, but at least they got sand and mud and water and whatever.
And they learned how to stop, drop, and roll. That's all.
They got on a bucket brigade. Another thing, and you first pointed this out to me in a text, and I can't remember the game, but it was when they were starting to come out of the fog. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was against Temple, and you said they've learned how to break a zone.
Yeah.
You texted me simple. They've learned how to break a zone. Brett, and I sent back to you, Shazam, you're right. And they had.
It was the Temple game because Temple came out of the zone and they started passing the ball into the high post.
They were flashing to the high post.
But even deeper than that, Brett, in all of these games, in just about every single one of them, the ball has been popping around. It's not the stagnant, try to ISO offense that they were running when they had injuries and at the beginning of the year when they weren't clicking on all cylinders. They're passing the ball and trying to get guys involved. They don't need the 25-point scorer every game. They don't really have that. They have a bunch of different guys they can get it from, and they get it from them. They try to go get it from them.
I just texted a friend of ours, a friend of this show. I'm very bullish on the Tigers. I do want to see matchups in cities.
Of course.
But right now, just blanket, are you bullish or bearish? You have hopes, or let's just celebrate, go into the tournament and should hang up a 2022 NCAA tournament appearance but not make any noise? No, I think this could be running down the hallways, kicking and screaming and making a lot of racket.
Let's go ahead and get to a break right now. When we come back, bunch of your texts. Give us your grade on the Tiger season so far. We have a bunch of those. We'll talk about that. 901-360-8255. AutoZone listener line, get in the zone. AutoZone. We'll be right back on Sports 56, 98.5.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repair repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Yes, it's still winter. Yes, it's still cold outside. But Family Leisure wants you to start thinking towards spring and maybe even summer. So Family Leisure's pool and patio sale is happening right now. Come to Family Leisure to get started on your outdoor living space. Yes, I know it's cold and dreary outside, but this is the perfect time to think ahead. Pools are in stock and ready to go. Brand new 2022 patio furniture is hitting the floor each and every day. In-stock hot tubs are ready for delivery. You can get fantastic deals on play gyms, trampolines, grills, and outdoor kitchens. I know you are already looking forward to spring and summer, and so does Family Leisure. But if you sit on the couch too long, the best deals will be gone. So don't wait until it's too late. Stop thinking about spring and summer. Start planning for it. The pool and patio sale is in season right now. Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road. That's Witten at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Bellyacre's motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. Two great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Dare Ya or the Double Dare Ya, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Bellyacres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Bellyacres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Bellyacres.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
A couple of texts, 901-360-8255 at the AutoZone listener line, getting the zone AutoZone. Before we get to our grade book, somebody says, I describe the Tiger season in a three-part sentence, and that would be a slow start and emotional upheaval in the middle and getting it together on a run at the end, and that has happened for years now. Someone else says, I hate to say it, but it almost seems like the Tigers don't take the first half of the season seriously. It just I wouldn't say they don't take it seriously. I think they take every game seriously, but it always there's a point for a team to mesh, and I feel like the Tigers hit that point a little bit too late. And that's just what I don't think it has to do with taking the season seriously. I think it's just it's about coming together earlier.
Well, that's the next big step in the full growth maturation as a head coach.
Exactly.
For Coach Penny Hardaway, that has obviously improved year over year over year. He is a much better head coach today than he was on opening night his first year. I think even unfair-minded people can see that. But next year,
Instead
got to be ready November, December, January.
Instead of getting it together game 18, get it together game 3.
Yeah.
Start to understand what your team needs to look like game 3, because all of the wounds, I think, of the early season were self-inflicted in a lot of ways, just due to team chemistry, not playing the right guys, a bunch of different things. Now the grade book. Someone says C. They say, win or lose, the Tigers play the most horrific brand of basketball I've ever seen. Not lately. I think their their brand of basketball has been fine as of late. But C, I'm not going to disagree with you on a C.
I've been to 4 games this year. I went to the game at Tulane. I was at the home game against East Carolina, Central Florida, and yesterday against Houston. I thought it was very pleasing to watch 3 out of 4 times.
Especially down the stretch, the shot making was a lot better. The passing was a lot better. Do they turn the ball over? Yes. I mean, that's just.
But that defense, there's so many hands, the tips on the basketball, the caroms, they're so frenetic on defense. What Tyler Harris brings you on the defensive end, I mean, he is just absolute.
He was trying to draw charges the entire game yesterday, the entire game, and he actually got one at one point.
Also got hit with a flop warning.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was trying.
I didn't notice that.
Flop warning's a flop warning.
How did I miss it?
The charge. I'll take the charge. Mm-hmm. 1 charge, 1 flop warning. You're right.
I think it was like his second or third time, and he kind of went flailing, and
yes,
and ref blew his whistle, and then
which was
flop warning.
It was bizarre to me too, because they called the charge, and then later in the game called the flop warning on almost the exact same play. Exact same style of play.
He sells.
I know. I texted both of y'all, and I don't save text. I bet y'all do. I know I texted y'all around 10:50. Y'all could help me out with the exact time. And man, the joint was popping, wasn't it? I mean, it felt like it did.
10:48.
10:48. Thank you, Bryant. At 10:48, it felt like it did 12 minutes before 1 versus 2 in 2008. It didn't feel any differently that night for 1 versus 2 than it did yesterday morning on a sleepy Sunday morning. It was wild.
There's a bunch of people having a good time out on Beale after, too. You had the whole day about you. And that was fun to see everybody out there, too.
And I tell you another good thing I saw yesterday. I was standing in line to get some concessions about 10:40 right before I texted y'all and got to where I was sitting, and 4 guys, young like y'all, ordering cold beers at 10:40 in the morning. I said,
Get you a screwdriver or something. Get a mimosa. What are you? That's too
Got
early.
him a big old Michelob on tap at 10:40.
On tap? On tap. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. The 25-ounce can at 10:30 in the morning is a little. Hey.
I think you just still roll it from Saturday if you do that, don't you?
Yeah, it's your style if you do that. I don't know. I can't do that.
Earliest you've ever cracked a beer in the morning?
Well, very early, but not these days.
But was it late?
What do you mean?
Was it early in the morning because you're still out?
Was the sun out?
Well, I'm not gonna group those. Like waking up and cracking a beer, I'd probably go 8 a.m. But that's back in the day. That's college days. That's before
deep sea fishing. 7:10 a.m.
Deep sea fishing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With that rocky boat, how did your stomach handle that?
Well, it didn't end well.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're probably yakking off.
It was 8 up. It was 6 of us and 4 of us. I mean, laid out, couldn't hold your head up.
And know what's bizarre about that is like some people can handle that. Some people just have the sea legs and.
Well, one person on it did, but he could handle anything. His body will be dedicated to science at his death.
Got another text. Are we grading on a curve, or should we factor in that they were supposed to be an honors college? And they say I either go B or D.
It's a great text.
Let's round that into a C, and we'll go with that.
That was a person itching to go plus or minus.
Partial curve.
That person was itching to go plus or minus.
Until you said no pluses or minuses. Somebody says, my grade is barely a B. My A grade for the Tigers would have to encompass the AAC championship and less than 8 losses. Okay. Somebody says, want to say B, but we'll go with a C. And again, you have to Brett, you have to find where your expectations were drawn from. If you're going off preseason expectations and where they were with Amani Bates being the guy and Jalen During being the guy.
All right, but the Tigers were the Tigers were the student going into this year that the parents expected a work from.
Yes. Let's
don't lower the bar. Let's don't lower goalpost and then just to jump over it. This was not a team going into the year, if you try hard and you have good conduct and you come home with a B or a C, we can accept it, Johnny.
As long as you pass.
Yeah, as long as you show the good old vim and vigor. No, this student going into the first class of the year was expected to make an A.
Mm-hmm. But again, expectations change. When you're at a
you
D,
can go deep sea fishing and be drinking beer at 10 after 7.
When you're at a D halfway through the semester and you somehow come out with a B+, that's to be celebrated.
No pluses, Gabe. No pluses.
And you somehow come out with a B. That's to be celebrated.
I'm going to celebrate the C. You know what, Gabe? You've almost convinced me. I'm going to change mine to a B.
I'm not. I'm at a very low C right now.
Hey, real quick, before we get to the top of the hour break,
I'm changing mine to
what's
a B.
up with the Tiger bankroll? Let's hear about
You're
it.
still losing, Gabe.
I know
You're
I'm
still
losing.
losing.
I know I'm
but
losing.
Big Man has made a move.
Come on.
He's talking about playing the long game. Brian is ahead. He loses yesterday.
It's fine.
He is 13-14 on the year. We didn't pick the Tulane game. I blew that. And Brian is at 745, so he in effect has lost 255.
It's fine.
Gabe is in second, 13-14 at 600, down effectively
Brett.
400 for the year.
Brett.
Yeah, Mr. All in the last few games.
Brett, no.
I've only lost $630 in the last 3 games. Really kind of the story of my gaming career. Be way up and then give it all back.
And, just to make clear,
I'm at 515.
200. I was the only one to wager on the Tigers this week.
Yeah, you are.
Yep.
I'm 12-15 on the year, 515, so a loss of 485. I was at 11.55 a few weeks ago.
Your fall has
precipitous,
been unreal the past 2 weeks.
It really has been, Gabe.
Ain't that something?
It's a microcosm of my gaming career. It really is. Right there.
We'll improve on it. That'll do it for hour number 1. We come back for hour number 2. We're going to start it with our good friend from CBS Sports, David Cobb.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. When was the last time you had your heating system cleaned? How about a safety inspection? Right now, Conway Service is offering our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system for only $69. That's right, for only $69, we'll come out and perform our 16-point Energy Saving Super Tune-Up on your heating system. We'll also include a complete safety inspection using our state-of-the-art camera system, making sure your heating system is safe to operate this winter. Plus, we'll run a carbon monoxide test on your heating system, all for only $69. You can have the peace of mind knowing your heating system is safe and ready for those cold winter nights. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. Call this week, and we'll perform your heating system tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is...
It's pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios. Grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers. Everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Hey, Gabe.
Hey, Beep couldn't be here, so I'm stepping in to sell some Central Barbecue.
Wait, what?
I am NKOTB at CCB.
Huh?
It means I'm the new kid on the block.
I know what it means. Are you saying you're happy to do a Central Barbecue commercial?
Super psyched. I love Central Barbecue.
Well, we all love Central Barbecue, Pete included, but he doesn't seem to enjoy doing Central Barbecue commercials.
Well, I do. I'm Pete 2.0.
What is happening?
Maybe we could come up with a new jingle for Central Barbecue.
Well, we got to get Pete back. This just feels weird.
Central Barbecue, Central Barbecue, yeah.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
There's a bunch of action in college basketball over the weekend. We talked about the Tigers in Houston the whole first hour. Tigers get that win 75-61. Duke gets smacked around in Coach K's last game at Cameron Indoor. All the fans pay for $5,000 tickets just to get told to be quiet and see their team lose 94-81. Wisconsin over the weekend loses Johnny Davis. I don't know how that's going to be, but to talk about all of this, bringing our good friend from CBS Sports on some college basketball, David Kopp, at David W. Kopp on Twitter. David, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. Yeah, underrated storyline coming out of the weekend with Coach K and everything nationally surrounding him. The conversation isn't really centering on the fact that Johnny Davis, potentially the Big Ten Player of the Year, missed the last 9 minutes of a game that Wisconsin lost at home to the last place team in the Big Ten, and a team now in Wisconsin that basically blew it. They had a chance to be the number 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament, be the outright conference champion. You lose at home to the worst team in the league. That's not good. So we'll see. I think Davis should be fine moving forward, but if he's not, that Wisconsin team is going nowhere.
And I gotta love Brett.
Nebraska.
Remember, I trashed them right after they said Fred Hoiberg was going to get another year. I trashed them, and they win their next 3 games, 2 against top 25 opponents.
I mean, is the marker being laid down now for Scott Frost and Big Red's comeback?
I don't know what's going on in Nebraska, but they have a lot more patience with their head coaches than anyone in the SEC. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to Wisconsin without Johnny Davis, if he's not able to be 100%, what do you think of that team as a whole? I know you're talking about a co-champion of the Big Ten in the regular season, but a lot of people think without him, they're not even necessarily a tournament team.
Yeah, they're garbage without him, to be blunt. He's such a dynamic player, and the per-game averages for him are really good, but they're even better when you consider the fact that Wisconsin plays at a pretty slow pace. So when you consider the fact that there's some other players out there getting 20% more possessions per game, and that Johnny Davis averages just as much or more in terms of offensive production as those guys, it really puts in perspective how key he is to everything they do. And I don't know his usage rate off the top of my head, but suffice it to say that on most offensive possessions for Wisconsin, the possession ends with the ball in Johnny Davis's hands in some form or fashion, whether that be via a shot attempt or the dish that leads to a bucket. And if he's not out there, it totally changes who they are and what they look like. So that's definitely something to watch. And not only is he out there, but is he 100%. And Greg Gard said after the game that he thinks Johnny Davis should be okay. And perhaps them resting him the last 9 minutes against Nebraska was precautionary, because even though there was an outright Big Ten title at stake, there are still bigger things ahead. And so hopefully they were just being cautious with him, because he's the type of player who needs to be on the NCAA tournament stage.
David, there's so many storylines for you, for us, for talkers, for writers. I mean, if you can't find something to write and talk about this time of year, you may not be in the right racket. Another thing, you go to those NBA mock drafts and you look at the number one player selected, who people are thinking might be the number one player selected. It could come down to that hot stretch for somebody in the NCAA tournament. We've seen it happen before. I don't know if he would have gone number one overall. He may have, but Danny Manning sealed it with his run in '88. A lot of times, draft position. Kemba Walker, what he did for UConn in 2011, it really vaulted him. A good NCAA tournament run could vault someone into first overall player selected.
Yeah, and the fun part about this year's draft class is that basically all of the candidates to be selected in the lottery and even beyond are playing in the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, due to various circumstances in recent years, there have been, obviously last year there was no NCAA tournament, or 2 years ago, there was no NCAA tournament due to COVID. And then in several of the last, 6 or 7 years, there have been instances where potential lottery picks have gone to schools that didn't make the NCAA tournament, or the lottery has been filled with international guys or what have you. But this year, I mean, you go Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Jaden Ivey at Purdue, Banchero at Duke, AJ Griffin at Duke, Johnny Davis, who we've talked about, Ben Mathurin from Arizona. Jalen Duren is going to be in the NCAA tournament.
You walk out of the final game on that Monday night with a net around your neck and one shiny moment playing, and you just stepped into a new tax bracket.
Most likely. The other interesting element of stepping into a new tax bracket in this college basketball environment is some of those guys who are maybe not showing up on the NBA mock drafts, who could have massive NCAA tournaments that turn into big paychecks for them with NIL, with that being something that is available to players now. Like Oscar Tshiebwe, you're not going to see him on a mock draft because the NBA folks don't like the fact that he can't shoot three, and they don't like the fact that he's really only 6'9" instead of 7 foot. And so you got some big time college superstars as well who might be able to cash in off of what they do over the next month.
And the Oscar Tshiebwe situation is bizarre because I saw that Kyle Tucker article in The Athletic. He just now has been able to take advantage of those NIL deals, the full season, and he might have a multi-million-dollar one on the table if he comes back for another year.
Right. Well, that's what I would hope, is that guys are getting the type of advice to where, you remember when it first started, it was these backup safeties for middle-of-the-road college football teams announcing that they were going to be signing NIL deals so that people could watch them play video games.
Right.
Yeah. And you're like, okay.
Or from Joe's laundromat.
Sure. Like, if you get $10 out of that, then, more power to you. Like, I was in college not all that long ago. I know that $10 and the wings that it can buy you is important. But if you're somebody if you're Oscar Tshiebwe, you don't need to jump at the
need no wings.
Right. You don't need to jump at getting paid $10 to watch, for people to watch you play video games. You need to hold out and partner with, some folks who actually have some business acumen and then wait for those big offers and sort of curate your brand a little bit more. I think that's what he's done, because I'm sure if he'd wanted to go hawk used cars, somebody would have put him on a commercial in Lexington a few months ago. But he can do more than that, and hopefully that's what we see with him.
And so I don't know. Maybe at the text line I might get hammered by the cryptocurrency NFT people. I still don't understand the NFTs, David. I know Jalen Duren just released his today, and he's making, he's making thousands of dollars off these things. I don't get those at all, but those are popular.
What are they?
Non-fungible tokens. That's all I know. That's what NFT stands for.
Do I have any of those?
No, Brett, you do not. You do not. You do not.
Ja just said that he's putting one together with his Murray State logo and whatnot. And again, I'm not really sure exactly how it works.
And we're supposed to be the guys where we're on the edge of the multimedia era where we have a bunch of things online that we can buy. We're supposed to know about the metaverse and everything, David. I have no idea about some of these things.
I hadn't figured the universe out yet, much less the metaverse.
I think I was born in the wrong generation. I needed to be born a generation or two ago, because I'm not on the cutting edge with the crypto. I'm not on the cutting edge with the NFTs. But hey, we even saw this last year though, and this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Of the moments we're going to see over this next month. Jalen Suggs hits that half-court buzzer beater in the Final Four to win the game for Gonzaga. One of the best games, one of the best moments in recent NCAA tournament history, maybe ever. And he was able to capitalize on that in relatively short order. But that was actually right before the NIL stuff got legalized. And so he kind of capitalized on it once he left college. But, you'll be able to capitalize on that kind of stuff right away. So the next month, it's about what's going on the court, but this year more than ever, it's a marketing opportunity, I guess, for these players. That's an element of this NCAA tournament that is new. There's that piece to this that hasn't been there before.
David, we've had 2 back-to-back champions. Last 2 times we've had tournaments, first-time winners. UVA in 2019, no tournament in 2020. Baylor last year in 2021. So we can go 3 straight. The last time the NCAA tournament went 3 straight with 3 new winners, 89 Michigan, the Steve Fisher run, 90 Vegas, Tark's only title, and 91 Duke, Coach K's first national championship. If I took Gonzaga, they've never won it, so they would do that. Auburn, same thing there. Purdue and Texas Tech, and gave you the field, would you take that bet? You give me Gonzaga, Auburn, Purdue, and Texas Tech. One of those 4 would win their first one ever, and you take the field. Would you take it?
I would take the field. I just think there's so many teams that can win it. So the 4 you name are quality candidates, but I think there's as many as 12 who could win it. So if you want to give me a little help on the odds, and you want to go hey, plus 200, you know what? Maybe I will take Auburn or Gonzaga to get it done. But I look at Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, Villanova.
Pretty big names there.
Yeah,
you came with a lot of firepower at me.
Yeah, Baylor as well. UCLA lurking around there on that 3 or 4 seed line, most likely. So I'd go field, I think, but not because I don't think one of those first timers couldn't get it done. Obviously, that's within the realm of possibility with Gonzaga and Auburn in particular. But I'll go field because there's a lot of blue bloods who are in pretty good shape at the moment.
Talking with David Cobb from CBS Sports. What are your thoughts on the Memphis Tigers at this point in the season? Right now, I think most people have them on that 11 line. Some people have them last 4 in still. I think after that Houston win, though, they've sort of cleared the final hurdle to actually put themselves on a protected seed line. What is your thought on them and teams that could possibly play them? Are they a scary out at this moment?
11 line means that there could be a matchup with 6 seed USC and Mr. Boogie Ellis.
How about that?
That would be interesting. I wouldn't want to play Memphis right now if I were a 6 seed or a 7 seed or a 5 seed or wherever Memphis ends up. I don't want to be the higher seeded team that goes against a Memphis team that is as hot as this one is right now. Of course, I do think it matters the matchup quite a bit because where Houston has been hit the hardest due to its injuries with Sasser and Tremont Mark is in terms of quality guard play. So they lost a lot of their quality guard play with those injuries, and it didn't really affect them against most of the AAC. But with the way that Memphis plays defense and it's just all up on you all the time, it really forces you to have some good ball handlers, lest what we saw yesterday happens. And so if Memphis ends up going against a team that has really good guards and really good point guard play, then I do think that it's not necessarily a sure bet that we're seeing this team advance. So I think a lot of it depends on matchup. But if Memphis ends up playing a team that doesn't have great guards, a team that they can turn over 20 plus times, this team can do some damage.
David, there are so many things that I love about this time of year: the competition, the emotion, the stakes involved. And for most teams, you had the teams that played their conference tournaments last week. Well, they're down to one. Everybody else is kind of playing this week. Most teams in college basketball are down to, you got one more, maybe two more losses in you, unless you get to that zany CBI that plays the 2 out of 3. I mean, you're down to, you've got about 1 or 2 losses. I mean, there's only for a head coach to go in and console his men after a tough loss. He's only got to give that speech about 1 or 2 more times now.
Yeah, I mean, there's already some teams whose seasons are over because there were conference tournaments last week. I mean, just go look at the OVC and a lot of teams there whose seasons have come to an end. It's getting real, and the bubble is very much coming into focus. So that's why I'm particularly excited for the ACC tournament, because it almost feels like that the entire fate of that conference is somewhat hanging in the balance this week. You're talking about the final season for Mike Krzyzewski, coming on the heels of the final season for Roy Williams, and you're looking at a league that, as of this moment, it really only feels like they've got 3 locks for the NCAA tournament. Those teams are Duke, Notre Dame, and I'll put North Carolina in that category after they won at Duke on Saturday. And so it's kind of like put up or shut up time, and it puts these conference tournaments squarely in the spotlight. And that ACC tournament in particular stands out to me as one that could get really interesting, because you're talking about teams like Virginia, Syracuse, Florida State with a lot of history, some really good coaches, but they have to do some serious work this week in order to make any noise or to have their seasons continue.
David, me and Brett have sort of struggled with this. How high do you think the Tigers could potentially get to as far as a seed line if they do run through the AAC tournament and win it?
I mean, I guess if they beat Houston again, let's see, am I correct in saying that they'll play SMU and Houston most likely? I don't have the bracket in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Say it again.
Yeah,
yes, I do. I have the bracket in front of me.
So they'll play SMU and Houston most likely.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that helps Memphis if you're trying to boost your seeding, because those are the 2 that can do something for you. And so maybe you do get to that 10 line. Like if we're looking at them as an 11 seed now, going 3-0 with wins over SMU and Houston, I think should get you at least a seed bump, especially when you consider the fact that it would be, I think, 13 out of 14 wins at that point. I don't care. I know the selection committee says that what you've done recently doesn't matter, but when it comes down to human nature and that
human nature, David, that's real humans that bleed and cry and are laugh and everything in that room. It's not automatons. Yes, it matters.
Yeah, so you're telling me that Memphis is going to be kept on the 11 line over a Xavier team that has lost 5 of its last 6 entering the Big East tournament? I don't buy that. So I think Memphis can move up, maybe get to that 10 line, and hey, maybe get a rematch with Iowa State, which I think would be incredibly fascinating. And
the much-awaited Tennessee game finally played?
We'll see. Tennessee's in good shape now. They're up in the 3 or 4 range a lot of places. So, it's going to be interesting to see who Memphis ends up matching up with, because it's been a minute now since they've played anyone other than Houston.
Right.
No offense, SMU. Who is really worth a darn. And it's going to be, like I said, the matchup, I think, is going to be a huge part of it, because if they end up going up against, let's say, Ohio State, who is like a 6 or a 7 in most projections, Ohio State does not have good guards. They are a post-oriented team, and I think Memphis could wreak havoc on Ohio State, much in the way that it wreaked havoc on Houston twice. If they go up against, say, a UConn, if UConn is up as a 6 and Memphis is an 11, I don't know. I think UConn and R.J. Cole could handle the Memphis defensive pressure a little better than some of these teams that don't have good ball handlers.
Yeah, I was talking about that Memphis-Tennessee potential in a second-round game, kind of more in the wheelhouse. David Cobb, our guest from CBS, he covers college basketball and college football, and he does it very, very well. David, I've seen a couple of things today. They wouldn't meet, but they could be in the same pod. I don't really understand. I don't like that. Please, NC, don't put Tennessee and Memphis in a pod that they couldn't meet in. If you're going to put them in the same town, let's have them play, because all both sides are going to do is go to some faraway place like Buffalo and yak at each other for 3 days.
That would actually be awful. That would be the repeat of what we saw in Nashville, where everybody goes to town for a game, and it doesn't happen. And that was the worst day of this entire season when
it really
when the
was,
Memphis
David.
Tennessee game got called off. Because leading up to it, I was annoyed because it didn't feel like the game was getting the buzz that it deserved. And then it gets canceled, and all we hear is the yapping and the barking. It's like, my gosh, I wish we could have actually played it. And it's funny you bring it up, Brett, because you're right. As I scroll through my guy Jerry Palm's bracketology now, the way he has it set up is for a potential Memphis-Tennessee second-round game, which would just be unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. And if the way he has it set up would also create a potential second-round matchup between Tennessee and Texas, which would be interesting as well if Texas were to beat Memphis. That's all very hypothetical, of course, but it's fun to think about those possibilities, because Tennessee-Memphis meeting in the NCAA tournament after the way that regular season game got canceled, my goodness, that would be right up there with the number 1 versus number 2 game during Calipari, during his tenure, when it was Calipari versus Pearl. Because I don't care what the rankings are, when you put those two teams on the court against each other in the NCAA tournament, it's just, there's a whole new level of stakes to it that I just think it would be unbelievable.
David, George Lapidus used to talk about the game that really put the Tigers out there in national college basketball prominence, that 1957 NIT run. And he used to say that day during the game, and a lot of people didn't have, but those that had TV and then everybody had radio, that everybody, literally everybody, mesmerized by the coverage, that reports were that around town nobody was out on the street. It was just nothing going on, nobody doing anything but locked in on that game. If Tennessee and Memphis met in the NCAA tournament, record TV ratings for Channel 3.
Wow. Yeah, it would be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable. And can you imagine too, like if they're in the second game of a viewing window and that first game goes overtime or something, and it's like, oh, go check out the streaming app for the first half of this game. The uproar would just be, I feel bad for Mike Sadie. He would be getting blown up, even though it wouldn't be his fault. But
Sadie's not answering the phone at Channel 3. Come on.
Yes. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. I think there's obviously a shot at, if the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee has any sense of humor whatsoever, they'll help us out here and they'll make it happen. It would be great for the game.
David, tell me you had as much fun with that post game remarks from Coach K after that brutal loss in Cameron. Tell me you had as much fun as I did with the be quiet, listen to me. Be quiet.
Sit down and shut up.
I know you paid $5,000, but be quiet.
And then the gifts to me just seemed kind of odd. They were like, Mike, we're going to give you a bench outside the alumni office. And it's like, well, okay. What? Okay. I get the
and his wife.
Yeah, they just didn't really seem to fit the moment. It's like you're saying goodbye to the arguably the greatest college basketball coach of all time, and you're giving him a bench outside the alumni office.
A set of golf clubs, and he doesn't play golf.
Right. It was struck me as a little underwhelming in that regard. And certainly the mood was subdued because they had just gotten their butts kicked by their arch rival.
You get a set of luggage on The Price is Right when you don't win.
I mean, to me, the lasting impact of that game is not on Mike Krzyzewski's legacy, but on Hubert Davis. Because you're talking about his first victory.
Great point.
The best rivalry in college basketball coming in that environment. North Carolina was an afterthought going into that game. Normally, if entering the final week of the regular season, one of the teams in that rivalry game is on the bubble, that's the story. But North Carolina was an afterthought, and they had to win that game in order to get into the dance. And in order for Hubert Davis to get a little bit of the heat off of his back after North Carolina had been mediocre for most of the season. So I think when we reflect on Hubert Davis's legacy, be that 5 years from now or 25 years from now, one of the things that we'll recall is that his first win over Duke came in Mike Krzyzewski's last game at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and that is something that nobody can ever take away from him, and nobody can ever take away from that program. Because, by the way, Roy Williams went out. We didn't know he was going out, but he went out 2-0 his last season against Duke. Mike Krzyzewski's 1-1 at the moment, and we'll see if the ACC tournament, brings us a rematch.
Man, I love all the fans trying to cheer him on after winning the ACC regular season title, heading into conference tournament play. He's got to tell them all to shut up and be quiet. Don't cheer me on. That was not good enough. We don't accept that.
It was fantastic. But that game was exactly why I'm cautious to bet on Duke in this NCAA tournament. You're talking about 3 freshmen playing key roles as part of that starting lineup, and no one really of any substance who's ever played in an NCAA tournament game for Duke. Having to go into a single elimination environment and thrive, it just seems like a tall order because we saw the pressure get to them on Saturday, and that pressure is going to be there once the NCAA tournament arrives.
Every single game in the NCAA tournament could be his last. But, David, appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You can follow him on Twitter at David W. Cobb. Hour 2 of our program is brought to you by our good friends at the Big Green Egg. And I always talk about the best ability being your availability. We talk about that in sports all the time. And the Big Green Egg is that. It could be the last grill you ever have to buy. It has a lifetime warranty on all ceramic parts since 1995. Folks have had their eggs 10, 20, 30-plus years. You've heard me say that before, and you can do anything on it. You could smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill. I always say you can make barbecue whether you're smoking some ribs or you're on your back patio just cooking burgers. You can even make some desserts. You can make pizzas. You can do whatever you want, and it comes in 7 different sizes, so it has a price point and a size for everybody. And again, that lifetime warranty is the most important thing. You can find it at a lot of places around the area. Garden Spas and Pool, Germantown Hardware, Hamilton's Fireplace and Grills, East Memphis Ace, and Cordova Ace Hardware. So if you're looking for a do-it-all reliable, long-lasting grill at a great price point, look no further than the Big Green Egg. We have to go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we bring on our good friend from USA Today and BracketWag.com, Shelby Mast.
You have opinions?
The knowledge that I have matters.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Get in the swing of things. Grab your friends, your clients, your employees, and go enjoy everything you love about Topgolf in a luxury suite while at Memphis' only Topgolf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Topgolf Swing Suite is an immersive social experience offering guests a luxury private lounge to enjoy Erling Jensen's extraordinary food and beverage service, all while playing a selection of games in a one-of-a-kind simulation day. Topgolf Swing Suites are great for work outings, celebrations, or just getting together. It's fun for the whole family. It's fun for golfers and non-golfers alike. They have more than just golf. They have soccer, baseball, zombie dodgeball, football, and more. Located at 5069 Sanderlin, adjacent to the Doubletree East Memphis. Check us out at SwingSuiteMemphis.com or call us at 901-58-SWING. Again, that's 901-58-SWING at Memphis' only Topgolf Swing Suite at Erling Jensen's Small Bites. Book your suite today.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters. Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Back in on Sports Time, and we have a guy we're bringing on that we know can make sense of what the bracket will look like and some of the matchups we may see. He is Shelby Mass from USA Today and BracketWag.com. You can follow him on Twitter at BracketWagWAG. Shelby, how are you?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Doing well. The Tigers finally get over the hump. It looks like they're solidly in, and seed line could depend. Whatever they do in the AAC tournament could sort of lead to either a higher or a slightly lower seed. Probably stuck there at the 11 though. But I have to say, we're here. I've asked you about 4 weeks in a row now about the 3-bid AAC, and it looks like you finally have it. You have the Tigers solidly in and SMU in the last 4 in.
The only caveat is if either one of Memphis or SMU or both lose the first round of the AAC tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That loss, SMU, SMU would feel it worse.
Right.
I think it would out, but Memphis doesn't want to test my theory of them being safe either.
Right. So do you think Memphis, if they lose that first round game, and obviously we could have some bid stealers, all that type of thing, but that doesn't knock them necessarily out of the field. It sort of puts them in that play-in scenario.
Probably so. But if there are bid thieves or another bubble team gets hot or something, then that could eventually push them out because they would be in a position where they can't do anything else to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They have to rely on others, and if those others got hot,
right,
the only one they don't worry about is BYU because they're done for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the shakiest team you have right now in your field? Who's the one that really needs to be nervous, not thinking they've got anything accomplished just yet?
I think Wake Forest. They've got.
They signed their coach today, a new contract.
Yes,
he's done a good job.
They have one of the worst non-conference strength of schedules in the country. They're in a position where they can schedule pretty much whoever they want, and they tried to get the weakest teams possible. I understand it's first-year coach or second year. He's early in his coaching career at Wake, so he's trying to build up confidence in his guys, but that could eventually hurt them on Sunday because if they lose first round of the ACC, they don't have any real good wins to fall back on.
And also, the one that I've struggled with when it comes to conferences, we know about the ACC, they have struggled really badly, but the Big Ten is always incredibly overrated in a lot of ways to me. I know they're a big conference. I know they're a pretty deep conference, and they have some talent in it. But do you think we'll get to the 9 teams, or do you think Indiana has just about played themselves out of the field?
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of Indiana people and reporters, and they all want to know what they got to do. And short of winning the Big Ten tournament, they got to at least get to the finals and have some notches in their belt along the way, so to speak. I think they're done. They haven't done enough, and they've got a very weak non-conference schedule also.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby, tell us about your weekend in the mock draft and some of the college basketball names and bracketologists and writers and columnists that weighed in. I know Mike DeCourcy did, and we love Mike here. He didn't get his start here, but he was Tiger beat writer a long time ago here and on his way to the superstardom that he has accomplished. We love you. We love the bracket guy. We like Lenardi. We like all those. Tell us about your weekend, how much fun you had with that. And what did you learn about putting your bracket together from this weekend that you'll use going forward?
Well, I dissect team resumes. We started Thursday night and went almost straight through last night where we had a selection show, but we went through the process just like the committee does. Joe Lenardi was in for a little bit, Dave Ullman, Rocco Miller, Kerry Miller, and Tim Kruger. And we just dove in, and the amount of discussions for seed lines are between 6 and 7, or number 14 to 15, whoever. We had intense discussions. There was nobody got angry or anything like that, but we're trying to dissect these resumes as much as we think the committee would do it. Now, I think we did a pretty good job. There's some fans that aren't happy, but we can't make everybody happy. And this is not what we want. This is what we think the committee would do right now.
Mm-hmm. What in those circles with all those basketball guys, all those minds, bracketology guys, and in one area, what is the most accepted sort of metric as far as rankings are concerned? Me and Brett have had a lot of struggles with the net this year. I feel like it's inconsistent in a lot of ways. What is the most widely accepted, would you say, in those circles?
Probably the net, because that's what the committee mainly uses.
Right.
The other, they're just kind of average between them, but the net gives us our strength of schedule and stuff like that, and we can see it on the team sheet, and we know that's what the committee uses. That's what we use.
Well, I guess this is another thing with it. Do you look more at the number next to their name, whether it's like the Memphis at 35, or do you just look through the quads to decipher a resume?
The number outside, the number of their rank, that never came into play, except with some lower ends. It just helps us. You hear the committee every year say it's a sorting tool, and that's what we used it for. It was just strictly that. We saw where they were ranked offense and defense in KenPom, but not a whole lot.
Can Michigan, if they lose first game Big Ten tournament, can they do enough bad to not be in the tournament?
I don't know. I think if they were to lose, they'd be playing Indiana, and there'll be a strong push from the public that Indiana should overtake them. And the committee's not going to listen to that, but they could be in danger. I mean, it was a very nice win yesterday, but I don't think they've done enough. I think they need to get one more to feel safe.
You have, and I just sort of noticing that you have a lot of A-10 teams in your first 4 out, next 4 out. You have Dayton, you have VCU, SLU, St. Bonaventure. Do you see any of those teams possibly playing themselves in?
I kind of think that if Davidson gets to the final and loses to one of those 4, that Davidson will get in also, because they're pretty safe in our bracket and on mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, but the A-10, they're just a step below, like the Mountain West, where they're so close to getting 4 or 5 in, but there's not enough room for them all.
So you think there could be, I mean, I'm not saying Davidson's going to lose in a championship, but you think a potential bid steal could come from that conference?
That's the one I'm really watching.
The A-10, it starts on Wednesday in Washington, D.C., and will be a lot of fun to watch. They're playing for big stakes. Shelby Mast, our guest from USA Today, he's their official bracketologist. His site is bracketwag.com. And Shelby, you are an evil genius. I scroll down to your bracket, and you have, and there are others out there today that has it as well, a potential second-round game, Tennessee versus Memphis. Tennessee opening round game in Pittsburgh. They play Wagner. The Memphis Tigers would play Ohio State. I don't think it's an upset to say the Tigers could beat Ohio State, especially at a pretty neutral. Ohio State may have a carload, maybe a busload of fans, a few more than Tiger fans, but Tiger fans travel, and for a lot of fans, there's budgets been building up. A lot of Tigers hadn't been to an NCAA tournament in a while, and we hadn't had a real NCAA tournament in 3 years.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I didn't even realize I had that matchup until you mentioned it. That's how much we pay attention. We're putting it together. We don't pay attention to who they might play first round. We only check for first round, same conference, or if they played during the year, and they try to avoid that. But any other matchups that may happen down the road, we don't notice those. And so that shows you how much the geography plays in this as well.
So Brett and I have had this sort of running conversation about some of these mid-majors that are really good. Murray State is the team this year from a mid-major conference that has been unbelievable. 30-2 win over Memphis. I don't know out of conference what else they got done. But I think most places you look, it's between the 8 and the 10 seed line for them. Do you think a team like that at 30-2, even though they're from a smaller conference, should be getting a higher seed line?
I think that, yes, they should. But, again, with ours, we pick where we think the committee will put them.
Right.
They're good to be on the 5 line, 6 line, something like that. But there's just not enough meat on the schedule. And we're comparing apples to oranges when we're looking at these resumes of other teams, because theirs is very good, but quad one win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1 or 2. It's not many. And I had a question today: how can I possibly put Colorado State above them? Well, Colorado State has more wins than quad one, and it's not always just that is the deciding factor. We go through the whole resume, but I really believe, and we all did, that Murray State should be higher, but won't be.
Right.
Yeah, 23 net, 30 wins. 30 wins. That's an accomplishment for any team, any league to get only 2 losses. I think they have the fewest number of losses in the country, and it's probably going to translate to them falling in that 8-9 game, and then they get a number 1 seed. A number 1 seed that that coach is going to be complaining about. I win a first round NCAA tournament game, and then I get Murray State with that. Who do you think right now, Shelby? Who do you think is the best team in the country?
I got to think Gonzaga is. I
do too.
The WCC is better than it's ever been, and they still only had 1 conference loss. That's awful tough, and they play late, nobody's season, but I've stayed up and watched them. They're good. They're really good.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that they're going to be the number 1 overall seed when it's all said? I know the West Coast Conference has their semifinals tonight, a couple of good games, but you think they run through it and ultimately become the number 1 overall?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Shelby, appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoyed it, Shelby. Enjoy all this ball.
I'm ready.
You have a good one.
Thank you.
You can follow him on Twitter at BracketWag and go to bracketwag.com. He has all of his information, his entire bracket up there.
I mentioned that A10 tournament. That would be a fun one to go to. That would almost be, Gabe, maybe a little edgier Arch Madness.
I'm telling you, Brett, of all of the matchups that I've seen so far, and I know this is an early and it's a small conference, although Gonzaga's in it, I would love to be in the building in Vegas for the West Coast Conference tournament tonight for those semifinal games. San Fran versus Gonzaga and then Santa Clara versus St. Mary's. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 in that conference.
And if you could afford it, just the week in Vegas, going to basketball from all those different tournaments, it would be fun. But if you can't do that, you can sure watch it and you can enjoy it. And I know the perfect way to sit back and watch all these games starting tomorrow with 3 good ACC games, all the games tonight. And then when the Tigers get going down in Fort Worth, you need to stock up at the commissary, either place, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. You can go to Houston, Levy, and Poplar and watch the games and enjoy the games. If the weather give us that break from last week, get outside and enjoy them out on the patio. And if you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, delicious and authentic, that screams Memphis. Slow. That's the way they do it. Start that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos, the smoked chicken wings. All of that could be the entree. Start with that. Nibble on that and then dive into the ribs or the shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich or on the plate. All the sides so good. Beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. The party packs. Don't forget the 6-pack, the 8-pack, the 12-pack, and save room for dessert. That's a big challenge, but you can do it during March Madness at the commissary. The best lemon icebox pie I've ever had anywhere, and the outstanding, terrific banana pudding. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. It's the time of the year to celebrate and enjoy basketball, and you can do it at either the new Collierville commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar or the original in Germantown.
We go ahead and we grab a break. When we come back, we'll put a wrap on hour number 2 on Sports 56, 98.5.
Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane bring you Sports 56 Grind Time. Brought to you by Poultry Power. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Hi, I'm Troy Fivesh, owner of Fivesh Roofing. Sunday, today and today only. And for the first 50 callers. These are things you will never hear me say in my ads. Because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you don't need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get someone's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or products? By overcharging you in the first place. That's how. Fivesh Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service, and I do it for a fair price, why would I need gimmicks? Best products, best warranties, and the best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Fivesh Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fivesh Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fivesh Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So instead, we're going to hire a professional voice actor and pay him absurd amounts of money to say,
I like this product.
Not sure why that was better. I mean, I'm a professional too. But we didn't pay him to say the business part, so back to me. Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. Sorry, I know hearing me say it was a bit of a letdown. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
So, Saturday was the last day of regular season SEC basketball, and it was a massive slate. Started with Arkansas and Tennessee. Tennessee gets that win 78-74, 13 versus 14. 13 comes out on top at home. Arkansas
What a first half for UT.
Yeah, I was going to say, Arkansas just dug themselves way too big of a hole to be able to overcome in that second half. And they tried their darndest too, but it just...
And Eric Musselman tried his darndest to get tossed, and they just wouldn't. He got an early tech.
50-29 in the first half is just not how you
right,
win ball games.
If Tennessee plays like they did in the first half, how far can they go?
Listen, but here's the thing. I don't think they. I have not seen them yet on the road this year or at a neutral site be able to knock down shots the way they do at home.
Neither. They're like Arkansas. If they could play the tournament at TBA, they'd probably win it all.
But Arkansas, even on the road at times this year down the stretch of their schedule, knocked down some shots. They weren't allergic to offensive basketball.
Just a little late. Little like on the road at Bama for Arkansas. They waited a little too late to get going. And Kendall Chandler, what a strange sequence of games Saturday.
Yeah.
He goes to the free throw line and barely nicks the front edge of the goal and misses a free throw. On the second one, he shoots an air ball from the free throw line.
He didn't make a single he didn't make a single free throw.
And then the very next trip he comes down and makes a three with a hand in his face.
Well, he didn't shoot. Somebody, you can correct me if I'm wrong if you're looking at a box score. I don't think he shot a single two-pointer. I think he shot all threes, and he shot a pretty high percentage.
I'm big on him, but I'm not as big as a lot are. I hear a lot of people, the Penny's dream point guards up at Tennessee. I don't know that he is their dream point guard. I don't know that he's that much right now, that much more accomplished than what Penny Hardaway's getting at point guard.
He's the type of guy, though, Brett, where his skill set, you give him another year, I think he is running that point. He's running that point at a really high level. But right now, I agree with your sentiment.
Yeah,
they have to get a lot of it from Vescovy. They have to get a lot of the.
And this got lost. This got lost Friday when I was talking about greatest player ever at Duke. I know I said at Duke. I didn't talk about projecting to the NBA or what they did in the NBA because we know who the greatest ACC player is. If you talk about NBA, that's the greatest player in the history of the NBA, Michael Jordan. At Duke, in college, right now, I don't think Kennedy Chandler is head and shoulders above point guard play than what Penny Hardaway's getting. In 2 years, it could be proficient.
I still think he's better than what they have. I think he would make the Memphis. I think he'd make the Memphis Tigers a lot more well-rounded of a team. I think he would help them with their point guard duties. I think you'd agree with that. But yes, I overall, he's not as amazing of a 5-star as you thought he would be immediately at Tennessee. But he's averaging 13 points a game. He's really good. Down. He's up and down. He's just been up and down this year. Is what you'd expect from a young
Did you
player.
hear the numbers on John Fulkerson and the number of teammates he's played with?
No, I didn't.
I think
he's
had
had
47 different teammates. It was like 21% of all players Krzyzewski had at Duke.
It's year 6. It's year 6 for him, you'd hope. I mean, at this point, he's He has been in college long enough.
Here's your SEC team. You better watch out for.
But with Fulkerson, real quick, he's regressed from staying there so long.
The only team that can steal a bid is Texas A&M, and they have a good path to do it. They play Florida on Thursday. Well, that's an elimination game. The defeated harbors no illusion of any NCAA tournament. Then if you win, you get Auburn. You knock them off. That resume really starts improving. And A&M's network they've done, they're up to 56 in the net.
It's amazing to me with Florida that there was that log jam there, 7, 8, 9, and was 10 part of that? I think 10 was part of that, all 9-9 in the SEC.
Yeah.
And Florida just somehow gets that 9 because they lost so many tiebreakers. And I was talking to Brian about this at the break. 19-12 and 9-9 in the SEC is the definition of Mike White basketball.
It is.
That you go into a season and you make a prediction for the Florida Gators. That's exactly what you would predict.
Yeah, you would. I did like how they honored Keontae Johnson.
Yes.
Pregame and gave next week. I don't know if we need to dedicate much time to it. Lord, we've all lived it. But almost kind of the dumbest takes, sports related, in the COVID 2 years we've just lived. I think it's the people that were so improperly, with no evidence, saying that Florida sent him out there knowing he had it, and he almost died of myocarditis on the floor. A, they didn't know he had it. B, it wasn't myocarditis. C, it had nothing to do with COVID.
It's just at the beginning of the pandemic.
That are the people that wanted Justin Turner jailed for not having his mask on at the World Series celebration.
There was a lot of
y'all were stupid then.
Twitter was a terrible place at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's still a terrible place. It's not a good place, but at the beginning of the pandemic, it couldn't have been worse.
It's pure sewage.
It was
pure
awful.
sewage.
It was so bad. Also on Saturday, Ole Miss. It's just been a really tough season. Really tough season. They dropped to 13-18, lose to Vanderbilt at home. They lost 8 of their last 9, but they lose to Vandy 63-61 in another ugly game. I know Kermit's going to be, going into next year, get these guys healthy. That's the whole idea. You hope you don't lose too much outgoing in the transfer portal. But those injuries just took a huge, huge chunk out of their season of games that they could have potentially won, Brett.
Yeah, they're just trying to get to the end. They play on Wednesday against Mizzou.
Yep. They play on Wednesday against Mizzou. The winner plays LSU. So we'll see what happens with the SEC tournament, but we're going to go ahead and get to our break, our top of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to start hour 3, and to start that, we bring on to Michael Cole from the Commercial Appeal.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Is your bank standing in the way of you and your sportsbook? Try Action 24/7. We're cutting out the middleman. Deposit or withdrawal in cash. No more bank delays or failures. Action 24/7 has more than 100 partners in Tennessee for cash deposits and withdrawals. Visit Action247.com for a location. Cash deposits and withdrawals from your Tennessee sportsbook. Action247.com. You got action.
Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hey, Gabe.
Hey, Beep couldn't be here, so I'm stepping in to sell some Central Barbecue.
Wait, what?
I am NKOTB at CCB.
Huh?
It means I'm the new kid on the block.
I know what it means. Are you saying you're happy to do a Central Barbecue commercial?
Super psyched. I love Central Barbecue.
Well, we all love Central Barbecue, Pete included, but he doesn't seem to enjoy doing Central Barbecue commercials.
Well, I do. I'm Pete 2.0.
What is happening?
Maybe we could come up with a new jingle for Central Barbecue.
Well, we got to get Pete back. This just feels weird.
Central Barbecue, yeah.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Final hour on this Monday, Conference Championship basketball this week, college basketball. We got golf this week. We got a lot of it going. And indeed, across the country, it's Conference Championship Week. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel, and with college basketball and FanDuel Sportsbook, you've got an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. Tonight, we mentioned those games out west. I love Gonzaga minus 12.5 over San Francisco. I love St. Mary's minus 4.5 over Santa Clara. And here's the one you can throw in a same-game parlay bet. I like Cleveland State over Wright State in the Horizon semis. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel this week, right now is the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is so easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great odds. So see for yourself why they are America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today, right now, and sign up with promo code CASH to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales. at 5704 Goodman Road, online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They are very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience and good times with their sales rep where you'll be treated like family. All the cars test driven, all checked out bumper to bumper. You walk in, kind, courteous staff, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, but they care about your time. And they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a very, very busy world where time really matters. You find that car you want, you get credit approved, paperwork complete, and you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee at DeSoto Auto Sales where they keep it simple for you. Go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com and look at the beautiful cars and check out all those testimonials, all those referrals from very pleased customers. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We bring in the Grizzlies beat writer from the Commercial Appeal, DeMichael Cole. DeMichael, how's it going, man? How was your weekend?
What's going on, guys? It was a pretty eventful weekend. We had a back-to-back, so I didn't get to do anything but cover basketball. But it was, it was interesting. It was an interesting weekend. You almost thought, those were two written in W's, but it didn't turn out that way, right?
And two different. I mean, did you get the sense that the Grizzlies in that second half against the Rockets, were they a little bit tired, a little tuckered out there?
Yeah, I think so. But they Steven Adams after the game, I asked him. He was like, "Look, we're not going to make any excuse." But
right.
I mean, it was kind of obvious. It seems like they don't want to use that. They still were supposed to win that game. Taylor Jenkins said he felt like they should have been up 20, and he's right. In that first half, they were supposed to be up more points.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there still were a lot of mistakes being made, but they were tired, I think, especially in that fourth quarter. But yeah, it was an interesting game. One they did get away for sure.
Yep.
Okay, DeMichael, so it changes the math a little bit. After that Boston game, we were talking about the next 10 go 8-2-7-3. If they do that, it doesn't really matter who the 8 wins or the 2 losses it's really against. They still kind of accomplish that 8-2-7-3, and they can do that with New Orleans and the Knicks this week at home at FedEx Forum. They can start on the road to that this week.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I just did the story this morning where I said basically they have all the keys to take control of that number 2 seed over the next 2 weeks before that game on March 28th against Golden State, because there are no top-tier teams that they're about to play anytime soon. The best team that they'll play in the next couple weeks will be the Nets, and the Nets are 3-7 in their last 10.
Yep.
And that's the best. I mean, now the Pelicans are playing really good basketball. I shouldn't overlook them because you know how good they're playing right now. But after that, I mean, Knicks, Thunder, Pacers, Hawks, Rockets, Nets, Pacers. And then you get the Bucks and Warriors back-to-back, and that's when it gets real. But this is their chance. We talked about it last week. Like, if they don't take advantage of this stretch right here, you start to wonder when is it, when are they going to be able to take control of that 2 seed? Because April is tough. Suns, Jazz, Nuggets, Pelicans, Celtics to close the season.
And we know what the Warriors are on paper and what they've done so far this year. They have 43 wins. They're one of the best teams in the NBA based on the resume they've put on paper. But they do not look good right now, DeMichael. I mean, Klay Thompson is not quite living up to the expectation that he was before the injury. Draymond Green is clearly a big missing piece. They're 2-8 in their last 10. This Warriors team, I know, like on paper, when the Grizzlies go play them, that looks like a massive game. But the Warriors, I'm not so sure that they're going to get back on the train before the Grizzlies meet them next.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was talking to one of my buddies that covers the Warriors down there. He was telling me that, I feel like Draymond Green is, the big key to whatever turnaround they could have, and they're still looking at least 7 to 10 days for him. The Warriors haven't given an update. That was just his gut feeling. So, looking at it like that, I feel like they're just going to keep treading water until that guy comes back. I've heard people talk about, the whole Klay Thompson thing. He's not, and I mean, that was kind of, wild for us to expect the players to miss 2 whole seasons.
Right.
And, to return to all-star form, like, right off the bat. He is human, so, I feel like we probably won't see the Klay Thompson that we're used to seeing until he gets a full off season of workouts and all of that good stuff. But yeah, I think they are what they are right now, and I think what we're seeing from the Warriors right now is more of the team from last season that was, 8 seed, play-in type squad for the most part, of the season. That's the team we're probably looking at more right now than the team that started out this season, red hot.
Mm-hmm.
DeMichael, this team was just sizzling going into the All-Star break. Had the one bump in the road right before the break at home to Portland. So you have that loss and the 3-3 since the break. That's 3-4 in the last 7 games for the Grizzlies. It wasn't last night in Houston. It sure wasn't last Thursday night in Boston. What would be a loss? I think it'd probably be a home loss, but you tell me, what would be a loss that would be a freak out, maybe not players only, but a reassessment of things, maybe a recalibration of things? I don't think it'd be tomorrow night to New Orleans. Would it be Friday night to the Knicks or next Tuesday night in Indianapolis? Where's the loss that scares the Grizzlies, that shakes them?
Yeah, I think it can be any of those games, but I think more so it'll be how they lose. What we've seen so far is, when they lost to the Rockets, they blew a 13-point lead. When they lost to the Timberwolves, they blew a 15-point lead. If that keeps being a reoccurring theme, if they lose to the Knicks after having a 12-point lead, or they lose to the Pelicans after being up double digits in the first half, then yeah, I think you'll see some type of all right, let's get back to the form that we were. I mean, the playoffs are around the corner, but I mean, John Morant out the game. He was like, "Oh, we're just gonna flush it," and I feel like that Rockets loss is about as bad, as it can be right now.
Might have that one in it already under the belt.
That team had a 12-game losing streak. I don't think it can get any worse than that.
Mm-hmm. So before we even got to this weekend, Brett and I on Friday were talking about that Celtics game. And I think that Celtics game in a lot of ways sort of showed the Grizzlies what a playoff atmosphere, what a playoff game would look like. Because John Morant in that first half, they were defending him in a way that he hasn't been defended all year, and he really struggled because of it.
Yeah. And I think it was a make or miss thing. More than anything with Ja, I think with those shots, we have seen him hit a lot of them. We've seen him hit a lot of those same shots, those same three-pointers. So I feel like it was more of him just missing those shots. But then again, as a opposing team, you feel good about that, because what you're doing is you're taking him away from his biggest strength. I mean, we all see how great of a finisher he's around. He's leading the league in points in the paint as a guard. And what Boston did was completely eliminate that portion of his game, which is his, that's where he gets most of his production. So just looking at that, that's a win in itself, just making him shoot all those three-pointers and whatnot. And I did say Boston was, uniquely put together where they could guard Morant the way they did. Like most teams, you have one big man, inside the paint these days. Boston has one of the best position defenders in Al Horford, who is always going to be right there, when you're coming to the rim. And they also have a guy who covers, probably as much ground or almost as much ground as a guy like Jaren Jackson and Robert Williams. So once you have those combination of things, it's almost similar to what the Grizzlies had with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson. But I'd say Al Horford, just from a positioning perspective, he's always in the right spot.
Right.
And it's just not too many open layups there. And then you have Robert Williams coming from the weak side, and he's flying all over the place like a hawk out of the sky. And it was really tough. Like, anytime John Morant drove the basketball, he was having to, do something acrobatic, which he's capable of. But you're going to probably miss more than those than you are going to make. So there are a couple teams I think that can kind of, show that same exact style, but there aren't many. I mean, the teams that we're talking about they could possibly face early on, like Minnesota, I don't think they can do it. I don't think, the Clippers present that same type of style. I don't think the Jazz, because they have Gobert, but we've seen, what Ja's done against Gobert. We've seen what he's done against Jokic. Those teams don't have that type of style. There are, a couple other teams who can. Actually, surprisingly, if the Lakers get Anthony Davis back and they actually go with two bigs, I think, that would be a team that could show that option. Not saying they could beat the Grizzlies, but,
could Denver?
Denver, Dallas, and the Suns, I think, in the Western Conference, I could see as teams that could potentially slow the pace down and try to make Ja play in that.
But they're sacrificing offense when they do that. And, DeMichael, that's what we talked about on Friday.
Yep.
That game against Boston was kind of a one-shot running into a wishbone team in football.
Yeah. Boston, man, I mean, I said it going into that game. I don't think people noticed how good they were. But now everyone knows it after, what Tatum just did and against the Grizzlies and against the Nets. And they're hot right now. Probably the hottest team in the NBA. Their defense is just levels above any other defense in the league right now with the way they're playing. That was a tough game. And like you said, that was a playoff precursor in a way. But yeah, just outside of Boston, I mean, I just don't think there are a lot of other teams that can present that type of, effect. But I can see, the Suns are going to slow the game down. We saw them do that actually a lot in the postseason last season. I think to the effect of when they played one of those teams, and the Clippers, when they played the Clippers, the slow style kind of backfired on them for a while, and they had to speed up. But yeah, they slowed the pace down with Chris Paul. You mentioned, the Nuggets in the same way. And, they like to do a lot in the half court with Jokic and running stuff around him. So it's going to be, those are interesting matchups. Those teams that really slow that pace down because they're going to try to force the Grizzlies to play in half court. And, I mean, we haven't seen the Grizzlies really just dominate half court offense in consecutive games in a while.
And it just also, that game against the Celtics shows the stardom of Ja Morant. Dropped 38, and I don't think any time during that game he looked all that great. I think at the end of the game there was some stat padding for Desmond Bane and him, but to drop 38 in a game like that just shows you how good he is as a player.
Man, it was crazy just looking up at the stat sheet and like, oh, snap, like, he scored more than Tatum, but you look at the game, you're like, man, Tatum was unstoppable. But if you look at the game, you think, oh, they held Ja in check. But Ja ended up scoring more than Tatum. Like it's that funny thing about basketball.
But it definitely highlighted, more than anything, what the Grizzlies are missing. And they've done a lot of things to address the outside shooting. They've gone and gotten Desmond Bane. They've tried to bring guys in. Tyus Jones over the years. Zaire Williams has a nice shot. Melton, they've tried to sign him back, but they still need a lot more.
Yeah. And that was the big thing that I thought they should address at the deadline. Like not with any major players. Just go get some guy who is known. Like we saw the Clippers go out and get like Norm Powell, Robert Covington. Those type guys would have been really nice additions. That's the big question. You're going to see some games. I feel like when the Grizzlies win, they're going to do the normal thing. They're going to force a lot of turnovers. They're going to get fast breaks, transition points, all of that good stuff. But when they lose, we're going to be looking at those shooting numbers, and we're going to see probably Desmond Bane hit about, like yesterday, I think they made 5 threes, and Desmond Bane made 4 of them. The rest of the team shot 1 of 17. That's a problem because in the playoffs, it's much easier for a team to say, look, if Ja scores 50, he scores 50. We're going to take away Desmond Bane's shooting, and we don't think anyone else can shoot the basketball. And they can kind of, build some type of like when the Magic played the other day, I thought it was interesting because now you're starting to hear on the court when you sit courtside how teams are guarding Ja Morant. And every time he drove the ball, you heard Mosley saying, load up, load up, load up. Like he was yelling, load up. And, that's what they did. It was 3 bodies every time Morant and watching that game. He shot the ball really well because had to take a lot more shots. So teams are going to start loading up more on him, and they're going to keep that defender kind of attached to Desmond Bane. and it's going to force other guys to, have to really make some plays.
Yep.
DeMichael, for a long time over these airwaves, it was not to be critical. I was just asking rhetorically and ready for it to happen soon. When would this market, when would these fans, when do the people that go to FedEx Forum really have Ja mania, really be into him? Well, it's happened. And Saturday night, every time, with every movement, the crowd oohing and eyeing from the beginning of the game to the end of the game with every movement he makes. And the crowd was great Saturday night, and they will only build the rest of the way. We are into Ja mania, and it's going to last a while.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's just every time I talk to just reporters from other teams and other places, they just talk about like the reporters in Chicago were saying he got a louder. Chicago doesn't do that normally. Give players ovations the way Ja Morant got there, and you just hear other reporters saying that when I was in New York,
in Boston.
Boston, yeah, that was the other one. I was about to mention that as well. Boston kind of gave him an ovation, and we know Boston is like that's one of those places.
Pretty
like,
jaded bunch.
They watch basketball exactly. So, I mean, it's wild to see not only Memphis just take on this whole Ja mania thing just nationally what's happening right now, but yeah. The city is really embracing him. It's kind of fun to see. I mean, you saw the University of Memphis players the other day saying they're in their Ja Morant mood, and he has he's his own
it's
phenomenon
infectious.
right now. Exactly.
What we haven't even got to talk to you about the Colin Cowherd. What do you think about the Colin Cowherd sort of thing that he brought up last week about John and sustainability?
I mean, honestly, I think he made, solid points in a way in terms of, like he provided, usually we see these hot takes and they're just talking out of the chest.
Yeah.
But, he brought up players and, we've seen Russell Westbrook, meniscus injuries, John Wall, feels like we haven't seen him just a lot in like 3 years now. And he's John Wall was in college in 2011. So he has to be around 30. And then, I think the other player he used was Derrick Rose, and we all know, how that turned out. So he had some credible examples, I think, in that way. But I'm just not one for predicting,
right.
the injuries, man. I think that's kind of that's just not how, unless it's like a big man who's had foot issues, previously or something like we've seen with some big men in the past. Like when Joel Embiid was coming up and he had all the foot issues and, Greg Oden and so forth. But a guard, Ja Morant, he's had, a couple of those non-contact close calls. And he's had, we watch almost every game. When he falls, it's like a deep breath.
Right.
But,
and if you're right about it, DeMichael,
when
who wants to go bragging, hey, I nailed it, Ja Morant just got plastered and he's out for his career. You really want to be that guy.
Weird.
Now, DeMichael, in this market, we had a bozo a long time ago, I think after his first or maybe after that first Masters win, the breakout win for Tiger Woods, this clown came on the air and said he'd never last because of he swings too hard and he's going to wreck his back. Well, he got it half right. He wrecked his back, but he won 15 majors along the way.
Right, exactly. And I mean, what do you get out of that? What I told you so? Like I told you I was going to get hurt, or I mean, there's nothing morally good about bragging on someone being injured. But you just enjoyed the show right now. Like Ja Morant is doing some really good stuff to the city. At the end of the day, he's only 22, and if you want to even have that conversation, the part where I think he was wrong is where he was saying, when Ja isn't as athletically gifted, which we know Father Time is undefeated. He won't be, nearly as effective. And I think, for one, with the floater, Ja Morant is, near the top of the league in floaters made, for one. And you don't have to, we see it with Tyus Jones. You don't have to be some supreme athlete to make a lot of floaters. So he has that in his bag. The jumper isn't bad. It's not like he's a bad shooter. He just is so good in the paint that you'd rather him shoot, the three ball. So once you factor those things in, and of course, when you think about like Draymond Green put his IQ on the same level as LeBron James, Rajon Rondo, and Chris Paul, who are thought of as like the masterminds of the NBA. Draymond Green was like, it's a chess match when you're on the court with Ja Morant. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, if he has that, he's going to be a great player for a while. He might not be, the human highlight machine, for his entire career, but we've seen a lot of players, skillfully adjust. I mean, Kobe Bryant is probably the best example of someone who had injuries and ended up having some of the best footwork we've ever seen. Why can't Ja, be that type of guy?
And he's gotten better at shooting in the mid-range and three-point so far through his career. And the other thing I disagree with Colin Cowherd, he said he's not a good facilitator. He doesn't doesn't bring other guys into the game. That couldn't be any more false. But it is just weird to me just to think of if it does happen, if he were to get injured, to come back and say, "I told you so." That doesn't sit right with me in a lot of ways. Yeah. But also I couldn't bring myself to be as offended as a lot of people in this market, just because I've seen this done before. I've seen people talk about possible injuries with Zion Williamson, and it ended up happening. Yep. But I couldn't bring myself to be all that up in arms about it. But DeMichael, appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, DeMichael. Yeah. Have a great week.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Talk to you next week.
Will do. And he's at DeMichael C on Twitter. You can find all of his work at commercialappeal.com. We're going to go ahead and get to a break, get to our last 30 minutes, and we get to what's trending when we come back on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes from Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Spring is around the corner. That means the sounds of air conditioners cranking up will be in the air soon. Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. This month only, receive $1,000 off the purchase of a new Carrier AC unit. No gimmicks, just $1,000 off for the Choate's Early Bird Carrier AC Special. If your AC is in good shape, call us to get your $60 20-point AC tune-up to get your AC cleaned and ready for the warm seasons ahead. Choate's is here for all your cooling, heating, plumbing, air duct cleaning, and commercial needs. Call us today at 347-8086 to take advantage of these early bird specials. Or to schedule online, visit ChoatesHVAC.com. So turn to the experts with Choates. And remember, let our family serve your family.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's Grill and Bar, where the fat man rocks. Everybody knows Neil.
Where's it located?
It's located in Yorkshire Square off of Quince.
And what's it like?
The best lunch place in Memphis. You know, like real mashed potatoes and gravy. Everything is made from scratch. Monday through Friday, daily lunch specials like Monday baked chicken, Italian Tuesday spaghetti, ravioli, Italian spinach, delicious fried catfish, fried chicken livers every Wednesday, Friday Salisbury steak, barbecue chicken, or if you just want a vegetable plate, the best veggies in town.
What about the lunch price?
Meat and 2 veggies, $7.95. Meat and 3 veggies, $9.99. And veggie plate, $8.95. Big fat boy portions, man.
Man, you're making me hungry.
Come hear the best live local music at Neil's. Eddie Smith plays Sundays 5 to 9, Mondays karaoke, Tuesdays Debbie Jameson, Wednesdays Elmo and the Shades, Thursdays John Williams and the A440 Band at Neil's.
Where the fat man rocks.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
I used to feel so devastated. At times I thought we have to make it. But now we on our
Last 30 minutes of a Monday on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. AutoZone listener line. If you want to join us for the last 30 minutes. 901-360-8255. Send text in. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also message us on our social, Sports 56 WHBQ, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and go to our website, sports56whbq.com, every hour of the podcast and our featured audio up there. I thought over the weekend, Brett, yes, a bunch of college basketball. We've got to a lot of that. But there was some just unbelievable performances in the NBA over the weekend. And look, I have to say, I still stand by my statement, take the LA Lakers off of national TV, but what LeBron did on national TV to the Warriors, Lakers win 124-116. He drops 56. That was an all-timer.
And now for the hot take specialist, can he sustain it? Is it sustainable? Well, no.
56 points is not sustainable.
And here's news for him. If he was 22, 56 a night's not sustainable.
Yeah. Much less in what, year 18, year 19? Is it year 19 now? Something like, who cares? Something like that. It's nearing 20. That's all we need to know.
Half his life's been spent in the NBA.
The big thing I noticed from that game, Brett, the Warriors are not good right now. The Warriors are not a good team. Clay's not very good, and Steph needs badly another person on that team to facilitate because he needs to do a lot of things off ball to get himself open.
The 2 seeds up for grabs, the 3 seeds up for grabs, in the West, and arguably 4 and 5's up for grabs in the West.
Mm-hmm. Nets Celtics, got to see Jason Tatum drop 54, and the Celtics, we talked about it on Friday. It's a sleeper in my opinion. Not so much of a sleeper anymore to win the East because they've won 14 of 16. Tatum, though, with that 54, becomes the first player in Celtics history. And think about this. We're talking about Celtics history. We know about that. It's a ridiculous history. First player in Celtics history with multiple 50-point games in a year, and he tied Larry Bird for the most 50-point games in Celtics history. He's only 24 years old. So, Jason, we get reminded
Celtics
every
history,
once in a while, though, with Jason Tatum and how good his stardom is.
In that Celtics history that has just about everything you can think of that's noteworthy, only Bird was about the only guy that you could really think could go off every night for 50. I mean, Hondo Havlicek wasn't doing that. Dave Cowens wasn't doing that. Bill Russell might get 50 rebounds, but he wasn't scoring 50 points.
Right.
Got Pete Maravich late in his basketball career when he just had no knees. He wasn't doing that. But still, to do something that hadn't been done in Celtic history.
Yep, and the Celtics win that game over the Nets 126-120. That leaves the Nets and Lakers both under 500 right now, Brett. Both under 500. Both in the I think the Nets are tied for the 8 spot or the 7 spot right now, but both in the play-in. Nets 32-33, Lakers 28-35. Gotta love it. And we always talk about parity in sports. These were the 2 teams that were supposed to be at the top of the league. Them at the bottom means other people are at the top. And I can deal with that, Brett. I can deal with that.
I can too. Can Adam Silver? How did the ticket allocation work in the Duke ticket office? Let's put the commissioner of the NBA by Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. Well, you think they didn't?
That wasn't dumb luck.
They didn't plan that. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe Adam Silver and Jerry are good friends. Although I don't think Adam Silver's that much for a humor. I don't know if he has much humor.
Do you think he's watched Seinfeld?
Oh gosh, yeah. I would hope. I don't know.
So it leaves me as the only person to never watch Seinfeld.
You've never seen
Seen
Seinfeld?
it? Ever?
Not
an episode. Not any. Why?
Not a second.
Oh yeah, you don't like Larry David. You're not a Larry David guy.
I didn't even know who he was back then.
Are you a Jerry Seinfeld guy? I'm glad we've grown.
I am or not.
If you go watch some of Jerry Seinfeld's old stand-up, I'm glad we have grown from that type of stand-up. That was not funny. Sorry. Not funny.
I don't know that I've ever watched it. His stand-up.
Well, how about airline food, guys?
It's intertwined in
It's
Seinfeld.
terrible. It's awful, man. It's not good. People.
I know who they are. I know who the character. I know Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in it.
Well, prepare for people to lose their mind, though.
I
with
love
me saying
Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld. Well, Seinfeld, the show's fine. Seinfeld stand-up, when Jerry Seinfeld was doing it, was not great.
Now, is it on in syndication? Could I catch up with it like I did 2.5 Men? Because I never watched 2.5 Men as original run.
I think so.
I only caught up to it in syndication.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it comes on like every day. I don't know the channel it is, but it's on like every day.
Yeah.
I may dedicate myself with no baseball to being a Seinfeld
You're going to be a Seinfeld
syndication
super fan. You're going to be a Seinfeld super fan before it's all over. You caught up with 2.5 Men, though. Tell me you didn't watch the Ashton Kutcher side of it. I know.
No, I stopped at Charlie's funeral.
Yeah.
And I thought that was one of the great scenes ever.
Charlie
when all the girls stood up and gave their testimonials about him.
Charlie Sheen really played himself in 2.5 Men.
I don't know that he did that, or he became so in character that he adopted that character. Which one came first? Was
That's a great point.
A chicken and the egg debate.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I can tell you a college football coach that totally, I don't know which one came first, but at the end, he totally became that character of that gadfly, quirky, goofy guy, and it was in the end, to his detriment, Les Miles.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Charlie Sheen episodes were the best episodes of 2.5 Men.
Never seen 2.5 Men.
They're way better than Ashton Kutcher. I'm not a big fan.
My favorite character in 2.5 Men, though, is Roberta, the housekeeper.
Oh, easily.
She's great.
No question. Also, one more NBA performance. Jokic. Do you see what he did last night, guys? Good Lord, have mercy on me. 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 blocks, 3 steals. Does that do enough for you? Does that win ball games? I think that wins ball games. But he
wasn't even breathing hard either.
Well, he doesn't move that fast. 30 points in the fourth quarter in OT. He scored or assisted in the third quarter and overtime. Scored or assisted on 40 of their 54 points. And, I know everyone thinks the Joel Embiid narrative is already ingrained into the MVP voters' head and everything like that. Jokic has to have a say in this. He has to. He's kept that team afloat. Without him, what are they? Are they a play-in team even at that point?
Be very fringe.
Mm-hmm. How about you catch any of the combine over the weekend?
Not a lot. I was going to or at basketball all weekend.
A lot of basketball over the weekend, so it was kind of tough. But I kept up with it for the most part, just because the Georgia D linemen just were ridiculous. Jordan Davis, I'll talk about in a second, but Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, and Trayvon Walker killed it. Trayvon Walker, I think, is going to be one of the best edges in the class. He ran a 4.51. That was third for edges. Devontae Wyatt runs the fastest D tackle 40 at 4.77. And Jordan Davis, I shouldn't be surprised because I saw how he played at Georgia and I saw how big he was. I saw how athletic he was. But he weighed in, his height and weight, 6'6", 341. Ran a 4.78 40. And it didn't look hard. It did not look hard in the slightest.
Gabe, these fitness gurus, these trainers,
it's getting unfair.
If you have something to you, they can clip off. They can make that 5 flat a 4.7 guy now.
No question. And Brett, watching some
hooked up to all those umbrellas and stuff. What if they can make me fast?
Watching some of it probably could. Watching some of these things.
If I took my shoes off, I could run faster.
You're gonna have to stretch out those hamstrings and make sure that those, you don't want to pull a hamstring.
My hamstrings. Just from working in the Saturday morning, just from working in the yard, picking up stuff from the ice storm, my hams are, oh man, everything is sore.
Brett, I think with the combine though, some of these facilities, prep facilities, it's almost cheating in a lot of ways nowadays. They can sort of buck the system because 12 offensive linemen ran a sub 5 40-yard dash this year. And that was Dylan Parham got under there. He got a 4.93.
When you know none of those guys
But
ran
listen,
track in high
listen,
school.
That doubles the most. Sub 5. That is the most by 6, I think. That's 12. The previous record for under 5 for O-linemen was 6. And these guys are just they're freak athletes, and they're learning. And that's what it is. That's all the pre-draft process is learning how to run a 40 and learning how to run a 3-cone and learning how to run a 5-10-5.
And the 3-cone shuttle.
Yes.
Learn how to run it.
Somebody should have got to DK Metcalf, huh? And also, get this, 3 fastest 40s of the weekend. Kalen Barnes from Baylor, 4.23, so it's one off of John Ross's 4.22. Tariq Woolen, 4.26, he's from UTSA. And Tyquan Thornton, who's from Baylor as well, he's a wide receiver, ran a 4.28. They all trained with the exact same trainer at the exact same facility, XPE Sports and Matt Gates. I mean,
Gabe, I don't know if I'm real proud of the next comment I'm getting ready to make. I saw all 3 play in person last year. I saw Baylor in the bowl game against Ole Miss.
I don't remember
I saw UTSA against Memphis. I don't remember any of the 3 of them.
I remember Tariq
And
Woolen.
I think I was prepared to do – well, I didn't broadcast one of those games.
The only reason I remember
fan.
Tariq Woolen is that UTSA, he's huge. He's a massive safety. He's just gigantic. It's like 6'4", 6'5".
I don't remember him at all.
Yeah, but 6'4" running.
Now,
that's
I
the
talked
only
to
reason
Ada like that
But
day,
no,
too.
I'm going to be honest. Kalen Barnes, Tyquan Thornton, that's a surprise to me. I had no idea who they were before the combine. But 4.23 and 4.28 will make you remember who they are, I guess. And they'll jump off draft boards.
The job Rule and Aranda have pulled off at Baylor to get them back from the dead.
Well, on the other side of
to
the
get that program back.
Sam Williams had a good weekend. Sam Williams had a really good weekend from Ole Miss. 4.46 in the 40, 10.
I remember him.
12
Very
and,
well.
and yes, I mean you have to remember him too. He actually made plays. 12.5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and he like based on athletic prowess, he was going to be a riser. But here's my question, Brett: when it comes to Sam Williams, what does he fit in best as? Obviously an edge rusher, but is he a stand-up type of guy as an outside linebacker, or do you want hand in the dirt at a 5-tech?
The latter. And because I'm afraid a pulling guard could really blow him back if you have him standing up. And I would love to know this. I should know this, but I don't. I would like to know how much of that accumulation of statistics that he racked up last year, how much came from the Alabama game on. In September last year, he was real good opening night. Everybody was opening night against Louisville. And then he kind of went silent. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was going to have the big game at Alabama, similar to kind of the breakout games that Robert Kimdiche had in 14 and 15 against Alabama, and really made his reputation off those games. In fact, pregame that day, when I was thinking Ole Miss would win outright against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and it wasn't even close, I even said that he's going to have that kind of breakout game today. He didn't. It was almost nothing. Then the next week, the wild game against Arkansas, and then he turned it on and played great. The defense was really the backbone of the Ole Miss team down the stretch, the last run of the year.
Yeah, I was against the better competition. It was a little interesting with him. I mean, the stats though don't lie. The stats aren't going to lie to you. 6'4", 265, running that. He's going to be one of the
great
top
player.
He's going to be one of the top edges in this class now. The only reason I ask if he should be a hand in the ground or stand up, how good was he against sort of the run coming right at him is the one question I have.
Pretty good, and that's not a lot of fun. You kind of got to just fend for yourself and try to just hold him up a little bit. But Gabe, a lot of times they wouldn't run at him because they knew if he strung it out wide, you're going to have a massive loss.
And that's the thing. I saw him several times this year. When people tried to run outside, he's athletic.
To the wide side of the field, he could blow the play up.
He's unbelievably athletic at getting those type of TFLs and getting into the backfield that way. But you didn't see much, and if you did see it, it wasn't the greatest type of film. But you didn't see it much of a run coming right at him and how he was able to stand in there against that type of
where it was tougher on him, but you're not going to get this in the NFL because of the hash marks. Where it was tougher on him was when they would run right at him to the boundary, to the short side of the field, when that tackle box is really is really finite. I mean, but in the NFL, you don't have that as exaggerated as you do in college because the hash marks are more in the middle of the field.
But I have no doubt as far as him as being a productive pro. I think as a edge rusher and coming off the edge, third down type guy, I think with a hand in the ground as a 5 technique, I think he has a really, really good chance to be.
His next contract is going to be something unbelievable.
There is 2 positions though when it comes to edge rushers, or when it comes to professional football, when it comes to NFL, we have valued to a point that it's a little too much. I think edge rushers and quarterbacks, we do way too much. We jump through way too many hurdles to draft them higher than they should.
Isn't everything centered around kind of both of them? You got to have one to put pressure on the other, and you got to have the other to try to stop the great quarterback.
No, I understand.
Everything centered.
I understand why they're valued the way they are, but
here's what I would value more if I were an NFL guy.
You can overvalue positions. And
guards.
I think those 2.
My Bermuda Triangle, the center and 2 guards, I think that, and you're kind of losing that now with free agency. It's hard to keep continuity
They get vets.
in my Bermuda Triangle.
They go get vets. And isn't that funny, though, when it comes to centers and guards? No one cares about those positions until it's time for
you don't have one.
Until it's time for a quarterback to step up in the pocket. Then you realize how important it is.
Then that guy goes, oh, no, we don't have Brett's Bermuda Triangle.
Brett's Bermuda Triangle. Oh gosh, but
that's where football's won. My triangle. That's where it's won.
Well, and it's the reason with that. Was it the Rams and the Bucks this year? It's the reason why I think the Rams were so good is because no matter what you had in that Bermuda Triangle, they could go beat it.
Yeah, because you know who.
Yes, because of AD. By the way, he's not retiring this year, is he?
No.
Okay, I was going to say. We
haven't
had
Tom Brady.
What? Really? Really? Are you calling your shot? Is this you calling your shot?
Play somewhere in 2022. And that kicks his Hall of Fame clock back. If he plays one snap, that kicks it back 5 more.
Hey, look, I'll give Brett this. He's been saying this ever since TB
week
retired.
1.
It's crazy. Yeah. Just clip that. I want you to clip that.
I will.
We need to save that.
It's going to make Favre look like it was sane.
Now that is bold because Brett Favre was a crazy man when he was doing all that.
Yeah. Well, Brett Favre's Brett Favre. Brett Favre's Brett Favre.
Love me some Brett Favre.
I'll say it 1,000,000 times, John Madden. Brett Favre.
Also, franchise tag deadline tomorrow at 3. We've only had 3 franchise tags from notable players. Orlando Brown Jr. gets it from the Chiefs. David Njoku gets it from the Browns, even though
time for the Packers to do something in it.
Jesse Bates gets it from the Bengals. That's smart. And the one that we're really eyeing, though, it's definitely Devontae Adams. A lot of people think he's going to get it, though. I don't know how happy he'll be about that, though. Wonder if he sits out a year because of it.
Not with Aaron Rodgers last year, no.
How ridiculous was this, Brett? They posted the Last Dance photo. If they come back for another year, that's going to look pretty goofy.
They coming back.
That's going to look so goofy. Even though I do agree with that. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we wrap up this Monday edition with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Brought to you by Action 24/7, James Gaddis Jewelers, and Acura of Memphis. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, everyone. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. It's Conference Championship Week in college basketball, and FanDuel Sportsbook is an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is so easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great odds. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and sign up with promo code GASMAN to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Brett, things in the restaurant are fine, but like all restaurateurs will tell you, things are still not back to normal. Supply chains are interrupted. One week we can't find charcoal. Another week we're short on ribs. Another week they can't find the plastic bottles to fill our sauce jars with. I've watched in awe as our fellow Memphis restaurateurs have worked their way through these past months.
John, always new and exciting things at the Rendezvous.
People know we have Greek salad, vegetarian red beans and rice, and vegetarian nachos. But now we have desserts. Miss Barbara of O Taste and See has individually wrapped some wonderful desserts. We have key lime pie, chess pie, chocolate chess pie, and pecan pie. Not pecan pie, pecan pie. We also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Get in the game, Mid-South. Coach Colin.
And Coach Hunter here from DeSoto Auto Sales.
We're maniacs for all this madness.
But if we're going to catch all these games, we need your help.
So we cooked up a 3-point plan to help you
Rebound from your old ride. 1.
Pick any nicer, newer car on the lot.
2.
Pass us your old ride.
3.
Will come in with the assist.
And give you up to $3,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value.
Based on the price of the car you pick.
So if your old rod makes you feel second string,
it's time for a rebound.
Because you could get up to $3,000 more than it's worth.
Worried about fouls on your credit report?
Our For the People credit approval process is a slam dunk.
But hurry.
This deal's done at the buzzer.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Hunter, and we're your dealers.
For the people. See all the cars at DeSotoAutoSales.com.
That's DeSotoAutoSales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Vehicle purchase price determines actual trade allowance. Negative equity may be refinanced. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of the Kelley Blue Book Company Incorporated, which is not affiliated with DeSoto Auto Sales. Offer absolutely ends March 31st, 2022.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Remember how 15 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, I used all those savings to buy that golf club that swings for you. But now everyone who plays golf is really good because, the club swings for you. In the future, which is now.
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Geraldo, it is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
What I learned today, Brett, is that the Jalen Duren NFT dropped today on Candy Digital. And there's 4 different types of NFTs you can buy. There's the core, which is as many as you could possibly sell in 3 days, which is worth $20. There's the rare. There's 301 of those worth $150. Epic, 101 of those worth $350. And there's one legendary. It's only of its kind. Right now, the bidding is at $2,061 and counting. There's 3 more days to bid. But between the rare and the epic, rare again $150, epic $350. He made $80,500.
Great for him.
Worth of revenue between those two because they're fully sold out, and that's not counting what he made off the core, the $20 ones, or what he's going to make off the legendary.
Boy, we've come a long way from me buying packs of baseball cards with chewing gum in them.
But again, I still don't get the full value of the NFT because it starts high. The price starts high. It's different than going and buying a $5 pack at the store and getting something that's worth $10,000, a rookie card of Babe Ruth or what have you.
Wow.
It's different.
That's amazing. I'm glad he's getting it. I learned that Longwood, the Lancers, they're Lancers in their first NCAA tournament ever, and this year's Loyola could be Loyola. Love these stories every year. 3 bids already attained, Murray, Loyola, and Longwood. Love this time of year.
Yep. What I could have done without is this Calvin Ridley story. Calvin Ridley is going to be suspended for the 2022 season for betting on games.
Free Calvin.
Per the NFL, he said a league investigation uncovered no evidence indicating any inside information was used or that any game was compromised in any way, nor was there evidence suggesting any awareness by coaches, staff, teammates, or other players of his betting activity.
We knew this would happen eventually.
Well, yeah, and I wonder how many other people are on board with this and how many other people have bet on things. So
Full scrub of your app page.
At first I saw this, I said betting should never be allowed, but it's so available, and he was off the entire year last year. I didn't really think about this, but we're seeing it.
It's going to happen, and it's going to be a bigger story than this. We've talked about it. Could have done without Coach K barking at his own fans.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Never a good look.
That was a little too much.
No, be quiet.
Also, we're going to have to get an update on this Brittany Griner situation. Brittany Griner detained in Russia on drug charges.
Could be a long detention.
That's scary. And it's facing 5 to 10 based on their drug laws. That's terrifying. Tonight, what I'm looking forward to, Brett.
Go Denver.
Well, yes, but I want to see this West Coast Conference tournament. San Fran versus Gonzaga first.
I like how they do that.
Santa Clara versus St. Mary's later.
2
8
finals.
And then 10:30.
2 bids handed out tonight. Sun Belt Finals and Southern Conference Finals.
That'll be fun. Now, that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to David Cobb, Shelby Masson, and Michael Cole for their contributions to the program. For Brett, for Bryant, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night and be safe. We'll holler at you tomorrow at 3.